All right, good evening. This is it. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Tonight we'll be streaming the US qualifying tournament for Battlecode 2022. So joining with me tonight, we have Pranali, who you've all met before.
Hello.
And we also have Arvid, who is one of our older devs, and you might not have met him yet this season. So everyone say hi to Arvid.
Hello.
It's great to have Arvid back with us. Starting off, will just be the three of us, and we'll sort of move around. And so we're very excited to be showing the results of the US qualifying tournament today. So we'll be starting streaming. So this is our bracket as it stands right now. So we'll be starting stream from round 2. So the round 2 of the winners bracket. This is a double elimination tournament. We'll be starting the stream from round 2. And so we'll be advancing the top 12 teams in this tournament to the final tournament. So there's 12 spaces out of the, so 12 out of the 16 spots in the final tournament are reserved for the US teams. So some of you might have seen in Discord that we had 2 different versions of our bracket. So unfortunately, just this year, due to sort of the anomalous circumstances we're in right now, MIT is making it a bit difficult for us to be able to have high school students on campus with us for the final tournament. And so this year we've restricted the eligibility for the final tournament to college students and up. And so this is the bracket as it stands right now. So without further ado, so I guess just to mention, so to reach the top 12, you need to, I think to get to the top 12, you need to either win in winners round 3. So you need to advance to round 4 of the winners bracket. So if you win in round 3, you'll be advancing to round 4. And anyone who does advance to round 4 of the winners bracket will advance to the final tournament. So there's 8 spots from the winners bracket. And then from the losers bracket in this double elimination tournament, we have 4 slots, and I believe that if you advance to losers round 6. So you have the 4 slots here if you advance to this round. So that's the map of the tournament, and let's get started with our first match. Our first match is the first one here in round 2, which is Kryptonite versus Polar Bears. So Kryptonite versus Polar Bears. All right, so here we go. So this is our map. This map is called Vault. All right, let's get started. It's a very small map, this one. Let's see if we can zoom into this a little bit more. Yeah, so this is Vault. So we can see Kryptonite going all the way up, already attacking Polar Bear's Archons.
We see some labs getting built there.
Yep, those labs are getting built quite quickly. It was a very
wow.
All right, so Kryptonite takes the first one. We'll be going ahead to the second game in this set of 5. So just like all of our tournaments so far, all of our tournament matches are best of 5. This map is called Despair. And it's a map that can make you very sad if you're not watching out for the anomaly schedule, because coming up very soon on, I think around round 200, there will be that vortex that comes around and dumps those targets of rubble straight onto you. So if your Archons don't run away, you're gonna get that pool of rubble dumped straight onto your Archon.
We see only one of Kryptonite's Archons has moved away. All the other Archons are still in their original places. Kryptonite has a lot of sages and takes another quick one.
Yes. So that takes us to 2-0 to Kryptonite. So we'll take it to the third game. So we have tunnels in this one. So tunnels, there are definitely a lot of tunnels in this one. It's a much larger map. I think we have, let's see if we can zoom this out a bit so we can see the full graphs. You see all the graphs now? Yes, we can. Cool. All right. So here is going to be our third game here on the tunnels. Oh, my machine is lagging a bit, so let's just tone them back a bit.
Looks like everyone is finding their way around the tunnels. Kryptonite venturing into the higher rubble areas quite a bit. Looks like they built another lab. Seems to have a lot of sage strategy for Kryptonite. Let's see if that works out for them here. Yeah, this is a large map, so it might take a while for everyone to get closer together.
Yep, but it does look like Kryptonite is trying to go through the center of the map, definitely taking up a lot of space in the middle.
With that sage army.
Yeah, so big army of sages going for that single miner down the corner there. But I guess Sage is regrouping now, trying to find somewhere else to go.
Looks like polar bears have quite a bit of defense there, but it might not be enough for all of these sages. That is a large sage contingent. That's going to be hard to beat for any team. Yeah, in the last patch, we made sages a lot stronger, and we can see that working out for Kryptonite here as they move towards 3-0.
Yes, we're definitely seeing sages getting used a lot more this time compared to how much has been used in the past. Kryptonite has so many stages and yet only 5 soldiers, so it's definitely a very sage heavy strategy. Where is Polar Bear's Archon? No, I guess the match has ended. So congratulations to Kryptonite for taking out the first match of this tournament. We'll be moving on to the next match, which is that Damacles versus DontAtMe. All right, so back onto the vault.
Seeing a lot of miners from Damacles. DontAtMe again going for some early game sages. Let's see if those will work out for them like Kryptonite.
Those sages really do seem to be pushing the red army back down.
It seems they're going for that first Archon, or both of them.
It looks like both Archons looks like they're gone. So DontAtMe takes the first game here.
These have been pretty quick games.
Yeah. I guess these maps haven't been, I guess there is sort of large maps. Yeah. They have been going quite quickly.
Yeah, it seems like the early games sage strategy is really working out.
Yeah.
And again, we'll see Despair with that rubble that'll get dumped on the Archons pretty soon here. Looks like DontAtMe has created some sages. And there we see the rubble getting dropped. Seems like only one Archon got trapped in there. So let's see what happens. That blue Archon is taken out though. And it looks like all of the sages for DontAtMe may be able to take over the game again. And seems they moved their Archon out, but it'll be too late because that sage army is looking very strong. And there we go.
All
Finally,
right.
with tunnels.
Onto the tunnels.
The path finding in this map is definitely going to be a challenge. Because that rubble is very high. Looks like Damacles moving their Archons up a little. Back. Interesting choice to put the Archon on the rubble. This map is so large, it's difficult to see what is what. But yeah, looks like that Archon. Those red Archons seem to be holding off, but they're definitely taking a beating. Might be pretty quick that they fall. Again, that huge Sage army coming at them. It'll be hard to defend against that.
Looks like they put their Archons right next to each other as well, which is a very interesting formation there. But I guess they're not next to each other anymore.
These bigger maps definitely allow for the labs to be in some corner. And yeah, looks like it's just a matter of time until DontAtMe can take the third match.
So congratulations to DontAtMe for taking this match. So now we're going on to the next match in this round 2 matchup. So we have Wallolo against Random Forest. Back onto the vault.
Oh, and we see a Archon sacrifice from Wallolo. That's exciting to get that Sage. We'll see if they can convert those Sages into something big for them. And it looks like they will be able to. They're getting a lot of damage on those. Yes, that Archon sacrifice worked out for them. Back to Despair. We're actually seeing that the Archons don't seem to be moving here. But again, we'll making a lot of Sages.
Wallolo is moving their Archons out of the way now as well. Yep, looks like their Archons are going to the front lines. It's interesting how there's a lot of using Archons as part of the support army tactics. It's a bit of a risk to take because once you take them out there, if they get discovered, your opponent could make short work of those Archons, but their heal can be quite useful out there. So it's quite interesting to see these various Archon strategies. But Wallolo does take out this first match. And the first game in this set. Let's start the that was the second one. So now we're on to the third one, which is on tunnels.
Interesting that Wallolo sacrificed their Archon in the first game, but we don't seem to be seeing that in these 2 games.
Yeah, it does seem to depend on, be a very map dependent choice. Be interested to hear. I don't know if they're watching on Twitch, but be interested to hear if they have any comments on how they're doing this, these Archon decision making.
Again, Wallolo attacking with those Sages. That middle Archon. This map has been great for creating labs in some out of the way places.
Yeah, that is a very good thing about big maps. Definitely with the big maps, you have a lot more space to throw your labs in a corner and let them sort of just farm in their own time.
Yeah, and we see that's paying off big time for this huge Sage army for Wallolo. And again, it just doesn't seem like Random Forest will have enough defense to. And yes, there's the final Archon falling there.
So congratulations to Wallolo for taking out this match. The next one is CodeMonkeys versus Adam.
Oh, and CodeMonkeys doesn't seem to be spawning many that's gonna hurt. They have very little defense. A lot of it went into miners to begin with. And on such a small map, it's easy to discover your Archon.
Yeah, definitely. When you're on a smaller map and you try to invest into mining or invest into your labs, then if your opponent goes for the soldiers instead of the sages, and those soldiers could be on your doorstep and very, very, very quickly. You could get there very quickly. I guess that's your typical rush versus farm trade-off that you have to decide between.
Exactly, but we'll see. Maybe CodeMonkeys will be able to do more on these larger maps. And we see that they do have quite the Sage army coming up here, so this could be interesting. That investing in the labs may work out better for them this time. And CodeMonkeys has moved out their Archons, but Adam seems to be keeping them in place. That might hurt with the higher rubble. Again, it's interesting where we choose to position those Archons in the attack. Even here, CodeMonkeys is keeping them pretty far back, keeping them safe, but at the fault of like less healing. But this Sage army is huge, and I don't think Adam will be able to hold it off. So we'll get to see that new fourth map. Very exciting.
Wow, time for a new map. I guess let's find out what map 4. We're not to there yet, but still got a bit excited. As soon as Pranali said new map, I was like, oh.
Well, eventually new map. At least it's not
after this one, we'll see what the new map is.
Yes. But first, tunnels.
Yes, let's do tunnels first.
And again, CodeMonkeys with their strategy of making a lot of sages might have an advantage here, as we've seen the labs have been quite dominant here. And there we see that first lab going up. So that same strategy of creating sages. And there we see just how important the map is on that smaller map. Their strategy of investing didn't work out, but over these larger maps, it seems to be working out well for them. But we will see there's quite a few soldiers for Adam. Interesting to put the Archon next to the lab, but wow, that is a lot of sages. I guess we've seen a couple teams move their Archons out just to make sure those labs kind of have their own vision radius. But sages really seem to be taking over these games recently, so I would be scared if I were Adam right now. Yeah, honestly, a lot of fighting in the center. It's kind of hard to see on this huge map, but I'm seeing a lot more red than blue.
There seems to be quite a cluster of red units. They do a good job. I think clusters seem to do a good job of like maintaining an attacking front, where sort of if you have a cluster and if they form, say, a nice formation, it could be quite hard to sort of come up and attack. But at the same time, clusters would be sort of like the formation that is a lot more vulnerable against sages. I'd imagine if like a sage came up and did an anomaly against you, they could sort of wipe out a lot of health in that cluster in one go. So
that is very true. But the sages also, or the clusters also help protect the sages, since we know sages don't have too much health.
Yeah, That's true. Sage is definitely a bit more durable than soldiers, but they could still get taken out by other sages in only a few shots. So definitely the cluster formation is quite important here. But it looks like it's less of a cluster now. I think it's just becoming more of a sprawling mass of units as sort of there are 123 sages and growing sort of start to consume the map. 105 miners as well. Definitely
Wow, yeah.
a lot of units there.
And there we see that first or the second Archon fall. Yeah, interesting that tunnels people don't really seem to be utilizing these tunnels, just going straight for over the high rubble areas, which I guess when you have such a cluster, you can do that.
Yeah, it's sort of just steamrolling through that through the walls there.
Yeah.
All right,
We saw
last Archon there. So CodeMonkeys takes out tunnels. And so now I actually get to be excited about it. All right, so let's see map 4. Map 4 is Cobra. I guess we can see a bit of a snakehead there in this map.
and
it's very dry on resources.
it's true. This might be a hard map for CodeMonkeys, as we've seen they like to invest. It might be tough without many resources and a smaller map. So let's see if that initial soldier push from Adam can get the job done.
It looks like they did still manage to get out a lot of sages.
That is true. They might have had just enough time.
Yeah, and those sages pushing through.
Again, just steamrolling through all of the terrain no matter what. And going for that Archon. Seems like CodeMonkey will take it in 4.
It looks like we're getting extra resource deposits down the bottom as well, because they definitely didn't exist there before. I wonder how they got there, but I guess for now, CodeMonkeys does take this one 3-1. So we'll be moving on to the next match. All right, here we go.
And producing perfection, putting down a lab, getting that sage out, but another soldier rush from Chad. Producing perfection seems to have fought it off though, and now they have those sages with which to attack Chad. I don't know how much Chad can do now. It's another quick game.
Quite a quick one.
Producing perfection, putting down another couple labs. Moving their Archons out while Chad leaves their Archons where they are. Let's see what happens, this anomaly.
I wonder if that Archon positioning there was intentionally due to that anomaly, or if it was part of some other grand strategy. Because it did look like they just moved the right amount to get out of that big rubble circle.
Yeah.
That Archon did just finally adjust itself to go back into the low rubble area.
And looks like, again, producing perfection with all of the sages. How's that? Huge attack. And yeah. We're back to tunnels. Seeing a lot of miners there from Chad. and producing perfection, of course, creating some labs and moving that Archon out so that the labs can really get their own space. We see quite a few sages there. These sages really seem to be what turns the game.
We're actually seeing all of these sages, a lot of them zapping opponent soldiers as well. I think especially in the middle there, a lot of those red sages had zapped blue soldiers and so left them with just 5 health remaining and sort of floating around. That is that Archon in the middle there has now gone. There's just 2 more in the corners now. 3 Archons to 2. A nice little gold farm down the bottom right there. Those labs whirring happily away.
There's that second Archon falling, and third will be not far behind.
And there we go.
Oh.
Cool. So that's producing perfection, taking out this match. We now have compilers versus Philip.
See the immediate order. Looks like compilers might be going for some lab strats. Oh, Philip actually with the first lab.
Compilers did just send a miner up there to sweep up all of the remaining lead deposits near Philip's base.
Sages on both sides now, but compilers definitely have more.
Yeah, neither seems to be ready to fully cross that bridge though.
There's a lot of lead in the middle there.
Yeah, it's slightly on Philip's side though, so we might be able to make something of it.
Yeah. Oh, but it seems like
Or it might be a hard
compilers is
those anomalies taking down both Archons simultaneously. They're close enough to be within the attack range of a single anomaly. And so compilers does take out this first one. Onto Despair.
we haven't seen it yet, but Despair, while you might move your Archons, building those labs close could also hurt. And we see neither team moved out their Archons.
Yep. Now both are trapped in a well of despair with all of that rubble heaped on top. And looks like compilers are trying to escape their Archons out of there. And so is Philip's. Philip's got one Archon up. The other one's starting to move.
Compilers seem to have gotten a bit of an advantage maybe through that turn count though. There's definitely a lot of blue there, but Philip is definitely not out of the game.
Yeah, in fact, Philip's got a nice cluster in there as well. Compiler's taking a much more spread out approach. Let's see which one of these is stronger. Well, a lot of those sages look very weak there on Philip. Perhaps they'd all been zapped by something.
Philip bringing that Archon out, that'll be interesting. I think that Archon's going to fall. That's a dangerous position to be in.
Dangerous move, a risky one. Looks like it might not have paid off this time. Compilers does take the second one, and we're now on to the third one in the set. Also joining us, we now have Andy. Does everyone say hi to Andy? Andy, do you want to say hello?
Hello.
We've all seen Andy before, streaming with us in a couple of previous tournaments as well. Seems fairly evenly matched so far.
Yeah, this round has been a lot more even than some of the ones we've seen so far. Though the score doesn't exactly reflect that.
Yeah, it looks like Compilers seems to use the anomalies much more frequently than Philip does. Philip just sort of bops people with the Sage's attack, and then Compilers using the charge anomaly pretty frequent.
There's a lot of gold on that map. That could be
Yeah.
useful.
Unfortunately, gold doesn't self-replenish like lead does, but there still is a lot of gold from all of the sages that have been displayed on this map. It's a lot of gold.
Yeah, notice how all that gold is sitting on the 70 plus the 90 rubble. All the sages trying to cross that area, then just getting completely destroyed on the high rubble.
Yeah, here for the first time, kind of, we're seeing this pathfinding of tunnels coming into play.
Yeah, it's sort of like the other map, where sort of there was this big high rubble region in between, and if you were the first one across it, that might just be the action that comes back to bite you.
Yeah, but it looks like in the time we were talking, Philip also tried to advance and seems to have suffered for it.
Forgive me if I'm mistaken, but I think Compilers is making a farm on both of their on all three of their Archons. No, those lead deposits are not there naturally. They must have put them in using builders. So maybe this will benefit them in the long
You're
run.
seeing some watchtowers. Oh, then those watchtowers are getting upgraded. We have some upgraded watchtowers.
Sorry, I know I'm not supposed to be biased, but now I'm just on the side of Compilers. Watchtower is such a beautiful unit. And yeah, see, Compilers winning the match, but also building watchtowers, so they win in both aspects here.
Yes, I'm liking these watchtowers mutated to level 2 as well. Some couple level 1, but we're always glad to see a watchtower.
Andy has been a huge proponent of watchtowers.
Yes.
Yes.
I've been advocating for the watchtower buffs, but yeah, I've only seen them come into play now.
All right, and that was 5-0 there. And so now we have the Hebetunius hackers versus nerds.
Oh,
So
and
I'm a little curious. Looks like Hackers is building a laboratory, but also just going with a pure soldier rush here, maybe covering both ends.
yeah, and moving those Archons up a lot. Moving their Archons might help them out here. In despair.
Yeah, if Nerds keeps those Archons in place. I've also seen a few, actually, Hackers, I don't know if that's intentional or not, but their lab in the bottom left actually just narrowly avoiding the majority of the rubble there.
Oh, yeah. We'll see if they'll be able to protect that Archon there, though. Quite a central located.
Nerds not moving their oh wow, Hackers now just putting labs in place where the rubble once stood, and now just with 5 labs actually. Oh, 7 labs. Where are the other 2 labs here? Oh, in the middle of the map.
It's a quick one for Hackers.
And always glad to see it. Looks like Hackers. Oh, not glad to see that Archon just. Well, that's probably a faster path than going all the way around, perhaps.
Those Archons are doing a lot of movement there.
Yeah, and it's really getting whittled down by these soldiers, unable to defend itself since it's importable.
Yeah. That's tough, the problem with the portable Archons.
Yeah, I wonder if Hackers is trying to group their Archons and move them up offensively, but with these walls in the way, just struggling with that.
They did manage to save that Archon though, so and we see some builders there, might be able to heal it up. Except I don't know where it's going.
Yeah, building some labs in these very low rubble areas. Those labs aren't going to be disturbed anytime soon. And now just sort of mobbing through the center tunnel and hopping this wall with an army of sages.
Yeah, and again here we see that army of sages that could just steamroll through the wall. Interesting to keep those Archons in portable for so long though.
Yeah, I suppose there must be some kind of logic that sets them down in the case that they see enemy units, I'd assume, so that they could heal. But maybe just not seeing any strong soldiers or giant waves of soldiers here, so free to run in portable mode.
It's still an interesting choice though, because portable Archons can't build robots either. So you can't, if all of your Archons are portable, you're not going to be able to build new droids.
Yeah, a huge mob of sages in the center there, just doing this little swarm dance and finally realizing where that Archon is, now just running towards it. It is pretty interesting to just see these sages run through the tunnels.
They seem to be struggling to discover that last Archon. But I don't think there's much nerds can do at this point.
Yeah, and closing it off 3-0 if they're able to hunt down this last Archon.
I mean, it's still this situation sort of reminds me of the game we play a lot. You know, like if you're playing generals and you're looking for the find it. So we're sort of in that situation, except I don't think these sages are even trying to find it. I think.
Yeah. I wonder if.
Yeah, I wonder if they're like using some sort of like leader strategy where one of their or a couple of their units are the leader, but maybe the leader unit is stuck in the middle of that swarm and can't really move the swarm anywhere.
Yeah, I think so. And also that swarm in the top left, also a little confused. That Archon doing a little dance while Archon just converting between portable and stationary mode.
Yeah,
yeah.
Stuck in a bit of a loop there. Oh, we're coming.
And they got it.
And all four Archons.
They found it. Closing it off. All right. So after a bit of a wait, the Hackers do take this match. So we have a result there. We have 5 Musketeers versus Jail.
And again, a lot of miners looks like that.
That early duel, just a 1v1 on soldiers. 5 Musketeers actually winning out on it somehow. Perhaps their soldier might grow a little cleaner and just mobbing the 2 Archons.
Yeah, this is a hard map if you don't invest in soldiers early. But last time we saw a loss on Wall and then wins on every other map. So maybe that'll happen for Jill here. But it looks like that huge Sage army coming from 5 Musketeers, that could be hard to defend against.
2 of those labs, actually 3 of those labs getting caught under rubble, but just immediately spawning another 4. And I believe those sages are using Fury to destroy the Archons. So 5 Musketeers already with 2 labs down, also moving one of their Archons through the tunnels. Glad to see it's not running through rubble this time. And it's about to see the other Archon. It just planted itself in the face of its neighboring Archon that would be expected to be there due to symmetry. I wonder if 5 Musketeers just running one-on-one duels between each Archon or something.
Yeah, I mean, with the Sage, that could be a good strategy. And yeah, it looks like they'll take that Archon.
Like the Sage is down there doing a little dance around that Archon.
I think just waiting for their Fury cooldown to come back up and just dancing around it in their spare time. Jail, lots of their soldiers are just caught on this rubble. Not sure if maybe they don't include the rubble in their pathfinding or if they don't have vision to find a way around the rubble, but
yeah, this one is tough because there's not an immediate way around.
And now 5 Musketeers just hunting down this last Archon. You can see their sages just mobbing towards it once they catch sight of it over the wall. And
yeah,
that will be the match 3-0 to 5 Musketeers.
Now we have Hardcoders versus Sealancer.
Sealancer actually just producing 3 soldiers instead of any miners immediately.
oh, and those Archons coming out.
Interesting. That lab immediately backing up after seeing 2 Archons in its face. And now running even further back, but those Archons are undefended.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. They tried really hard with that first rush, but wasn't enough.
Yeah, just maps pretty close to the Archons, led pretty close to the Archons on this map. So Hardcoder is able to just mine some lead and make a counter attack immediately. We are getting a request in the Discord to speed up tunnels late game. I assume this is due to the Archon hunting and just like how it takes so many turns to do so. So maybe if next round if that happens.
Great idea.
It looks like Hardcoders moving their Archons to avoid the rubble, but not moving their labs to avoid the rubble. Sealancer unfortunately getting a little worse off here with both the Archons caught under the rubble.
Those are portable Archons though. But they're
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
moving.
they don't seem to be moving.
I think just
So
the high rubble maybe just catching them by surprise and they don't know where to go after. And onto tunnels. It looks like jail, Sealancer producing a bunch of soldiers once again, but those soldiers just trying to cross the rubble walls. Hardcoders seem to be using the paths a bit more efficiently here, really helping them out when they're exploring the tunnels and finding lead. Already has sages on the board and now rushing that middle Archon.
And moving their own Archons out as well.
Yeah, those soldiers, I'm not sure if they're intentionally hiding behind the Archon, but that is resulting in them getting caught on that very high rubble and making this quite the disadvantage fight for them.
Yeah. Rubble may actually turn the game around. And all 3 of those Archons in that central area for Hardcoders.
Yeah, it looks like Sealancer also moved their Archons up, but this is just a little too late, and now just getting destroyed by this Sage soldier wave coming in. I believe their bottom Archon has now been discovered and now everybody mobbing towards it. And congratulations to the Hardcoders for winning 3-0.
We have Ruby Grapefruit versus JDK, more like IDK.
So Ruby Grapefruit immediately producing a builder, sacrificing a lot of their early power here. Now they're sort of getting whittled down by these soldiers that JDK opted to produce instead. And while JDK was the second to produce the builder, they're first to produce the labs, and now with 4 sages on the board, seeming like there's no way to defend. This time, interesting, we see Ruby Grapefruit actually not producing a builder. I wonder what their logic for what their logic for the initial ratio might be. Maybe it's the number of Archons or the size of the map.
Yeah, seems interesting to produce it in a smaller map though. But there we see that making the labs, so.
Yeah, I certainly would assume that the builder logic would favor. Actually, those 2 Archons on both sides caught under the rubble, but Ruby Grapefruit actually avoiding the rubble with their lab, while JDK getting the short end of the stick. Their lab caught beneath the rubble.
But JDK definitely having more sages, so that's sage attack. Let's see if
I
Ruby
have some,
Grapefruit can-
there's some mutated Archons down here. That Archon looks quite mutant. So an Archon is a color that we've never seen yet so far.
Maybe if Ruby Grapefruit are able to defend here, they'll be able to turn it back. But right now, looking like a complete victory by JDK.
But there's not much happening. Those Archons, they might be upgraded, but they're sort of just sitting in the middle of the rubble and not really being.
Oh wow, what was that?
So
Whoa.
the two labs giving them a huge advantage in gold production, and since they had plenty of lead sitting around, they could just produce a swarm of soldiers as soon as they got out of the rubble. But I think they're converting to portable underneath the rubble and just getting hit in the meanwhile. So now maybe they'll be able to push back here. They burn all of their lead in that process. You can see on the graph on the left.
Yeah, that's still a pretty good save.
Yeah, if they're
that
able
was
to.
quite the comeback, but I think it might be too little,
Let's
too
see if they
late.
can bring it back. Let's see if they can bring it back. Might be a bit hard, but that was
There's a
pretty
lot
good.
of lead there though, if they can mine it out.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
if they can produce a miner or two and just snap up some of that lead, they'll be able to reinvigorate their gold production here. But
yeah, they could probably also use a builder to heal that repair that Archon back to full health. But no, it doesn't look like they have a builder floating around here.
yeah, I wonder where their builder went. It definitely had to exist to produce the labs, but must have been killed by the soldiers and sages at the very start. But JDK not really having a good angle to attack. You see the rubble really just providing an okay defense for Ruby Grapefruit, and those sages can't really find their way into that Archon.
There's still so many more units for JDK though. Might go their way.
Yeah, you can see those low health sages just sitting in the backline waiting to be healed, but the Archon itself getting taken out in the meanwhile. And I believe this is going to go to a tiebreaker.
So JDK, more like IDK, takes this for having the extra Archon.
That was quite the match though. The first we've seen go to a tiebreak.
Yeah.
Indeed. I believe in the previous international qualifying tournament, we only reached 1 or 2 tie breaks. So we'll see if maybe the strategies of this tournament are a bit different and we get some longer games, or if we'll just continue with the quick games. Those Archons from Ruby Grapefruit, I think, trying to group up and stick together, and unfortunately passing through very high rubble areas in the process.
Yeah, and taking a bit of damage there potentially as well. But looks like they found their way. Let's see if they can make that big stand.
I believe so. I see 2 laboratories built by JDK in the top left here. And some corresponding laboratories built by Ruby Grapefruit, but those are quite crowded laboratories. So eventually, if they start to lose on their lead production, I think they must have created a farm or something. I don't know how there's so much lead sitting in that one area. Perhaps it's dead sages.
All of their Archons up in the top right corner. Looks like they managed to cluster all their Archons together, even though they started off all over the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one Archon got taken down. Just a huge wall of sages here trying to cross that rubble.
They really got boxed in though in that corner.
Yeah, it's probably pretty hard to get out of that now.
Yeah, for sure.
So JDK, more like IDK, takes out this match. All right, we've got a name that's a bit long. We have Do Lonely Laboratories Dream of Golden Anomalies versus Binary Ballistics.
So I will be very disappointed if Lonely Laboratories do not opt for a laboratory strategy. And it seems as if they are currently not opting for a laboratory strategy.
That Archon coming up. And that Soldier Rush.
A lot of soldiers.
Well, their lack of laboratories were out there. Let's see on these bigger maps.
Laboratory building in the bottom left there. We now do have a lonely laboratory with a couple of builders next to it.
So I wonder if the reason they didn't do it in the previous match was a lack of lead, or maybe the map was too small and they deemed that laboratories would not be a good strategy there.
Yeah,
so maybe actually those laboratories dodging the rubble, I don't know if that's intentional, but
yeah, they're upgraded as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so the upgrade actually making it more lead efficient. So Lonely Laboratories, even if they start losing out on the lead here, able to produce gold with a cheaper cost.
And we see that huge rush from Lonely Laboratories.
And Watchtowers built but immediately destroyed. Binary Ballistics not able to hold on to a defense. So I believe this map makes it so that the Archon is just out of eyesight if you cross that middle tunnel, but the instant you start trying to cross like that red soldier is, it's now spotted the Archon. So I wonder if that's going to start affecting. I believe red has actually spotted two Archons, that miner seeing the Archon in the bottom left and also finding the Archon in the middle. And Binary Ballistics not building any labs. So opting for a pure soldier rush, though, lots of those soldiers caught on the rubble. I do see a builder hanging around for a second. I think they're trying to do a farming strategy. You see on the top left, there's a big pile of lead, not previously there. And you can see builders actually suiciding in the bottom left to create that lead pile. But unfortunately, if they're not able to hold off this wave of sages, that farming strategy isn't going to come to fruition.
So do Lonely Laboratories dream of golden anomalies takes out this match? Yeah, I guess those laboratories did dream of some anomalies.
What is the MIT of the South? I'm not quite sure which school they're referencing here.
Is this a Southern Hemisphere school? Or is this, I do
This
wonder.
might be Southern United States.
Yeah.
Looks like the match is very slow. Let's speed it up a little bit.
See a little back and forth between the soldiers, and all of a sudden, Sage is turning the tide here for Blue Dragon. Blue Dragon immediately putting down a laboratory and starting to create gold, already spawning a few sages to help out in their offense here. And both teams caught off guard by the rubble, but able to sneak out a laboratory each. Blue Dragon now placing down more labs to up their gold production. Those Archons trying to escape the rubble, but should have escaped it before it dropped. I am getting word that it's one of the Texas universities normally. So thank you to Blue Dragon member for providing us the context of MIT of the South.
Blue Dragon seems to be taking over. It's a lot of units. My team of the South has a couple stages, but definitely not enough.
And congratulations to Blue Dragons for winning 3-0.
And we have Smite. This is Battle Cruiser.
As you see, Smite actually completely exhausting those lead reserves instead of farming them because they see a blue miner nearby.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of aggressive, fun miners strategies.
Yeah, and these sages actually just hitting the Archons instead of using Fury. I wonder if that's going to come into play later. I believe Fury is a bit more efficient on Archon destruction, especially when those two Archons are right next to each other.
I guess it's just a bit of a trade-off because Fury's going to hit your own Archons as well. So if you've got your own Archons up for support, then Fury might not be as safe of a move.
Yeah, so international qualifying tournament, one of the teams actually very unfortunately killing their own Archon with the Sage's Fury and
Wow.
breaking the deadlock in that match. So maybe we'll see something like that happening again at this tournament.
Well, I guess we'd hope we wouldn't. It's friendly fires. Not always the most productive move to do, unless it's intentional, of course.
This might actually using the Fury anomaly this time. I wonder what's different in the logic.
That laboratory, interesting to put it on such a high rubble areas. We'll see how that plays for Smite.
Yeah, I wonder if Smite maybe tries to just keep those laboratories in the corner, but this map very high rubble in the corners, so unfortunate for the laboratories.
Seems like they're moving them in though. Interesting.
And building, is that oh, that's not a watchtower. I got excited for nothing.
Guys, build more watchtowers for Andy.
Those look like they might be lead farms. That does not look natural.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting strategy though. Those farms are not near the Archons. So congratulations to Smite for winning 3-0. And now we have Baby Ducks versus unrecognized team name. Starting off on Vault. So we've been seeing a lot of 3-0s. Wonder if this trend will continue in the tournament or.
And look at that gold rush from Baby Ducks.
I believe they suicided an Archon at the start. They only have one Archon left and they have 2 Sages with no labs. So they must have killed off one of their Archons immediately.
Oh yeah, Baby Ducks like pioneered the suiciding Archon strategy, right?
I believe they're the only one to do so in the later rounds of Sprint too. So
yeah,
definitely one of the pioneers here, not sure. Actually, Baby Ducks now just with a huge wave of forces.
And again with that sacrificed Archon, and looks like they'll take it again.
Yeah, teams that aren't moving, I believe unrecognized team is actually trying to make a farm even as they're dying there. Those builders running out and immediately turning into lead piles.
Wonder if they were turning into lead piles of their own accord, if they were just getting taken out by the attacking army.
Yeah, so you see one blue Archon already. Actually,
One red.
yeah, one red Archon immediately gone. And actually 2
That's
red
the only one
Archons.
left. There's two disappeared red Archons.
Yeah, well,
Even
striking back and taking an Archon already, so it's balanced out a little bit more.
Big investment. Starting with 3 Archons and only keeping one of them.
Lots of
That's quite good.
sages from unrecognized team name though. They might be able to.
Oh, might be a hard one for this investment to pay off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Baby Ducks with their initial burst of Sages, but that lab in the top right corner, not only is it just chilling with the miner, but on a very high rubble area, so not going to be producing a lot of gold.
But there's a lot of gold there.
What are all those miners doing from Baby Ducks? Are they not so sure what those miners are doing? Maybe just searching for lead around the map. Baby Ducks putting up a really good fight here, even though they're outnumbered in the stage department. Unrecognized team name has 4 labs down.
They have 500 more turns to get that Archon investment back. They need to bring it down back to 1-1 if it's 2-1. There they have it. It's
1 Archon down. And
So,
Baby Ducks has more lead and gold. So they're, unless actually just eliminating the other Archon straight up doesn't even need to bring it to the tiebreaker.
Wow.
there's
That was quite the fight from Baby Duck.
starting out with just 1 Archon as well. It's a pretty good way to call back.
Yeah, Baby Ducks winning 3-0. Congratulations. Now we have Crab versus, I don't know how to pronounce that. Hosen?
Boson?
I will pronounce that wrong the entire time, probably. But 1 lab set down by Crab. And now with these Sages, it seems like they're winning fights. But if they don't immediately end this game, that is a very big lead farm.
Yeah, but 2. Again, we see some of those aggressive mining strategies with taking out the lead when you see enemies.
And both teams caught underneath the rubble here, but Crab sneaking out a few laboratories, immediately moving the laboratories back onto high rubble. Not sure what the laboratory pathfinding is. Those laboratories are actually running upwards on the other side of the map, also just eliminating these Archons.
And Crab took this game, so we can see tunnels coming up.
So I wonder, one builder already made set down by Crab in the bottom right corner there. And this is a map with a good amount of lead. So setting down that laboratory early, probably going to benefit them a lot with their gold production in the long run. And I believe that's an artificially created farm by Hosen. I don't know how to pronounce that. Crab just rushing over, and that farm is now their farm. So I believe Crab has also discovered the bottom left Archon. You see all their forces surging towards the area, and now they've also discovered the top left Archon. So Crab winning 3-0. Now we have Large L League versus A214. Interesting. So A214 not producing a single miner. Now they finally have their first miners down, but by this point, Large L League snatching all the lead up in that vault and producing some laboratories and sages.
Yeah, the soldier rush seems to work pretty well on this map, but they couldn't get it done.
And taking out the Archon with the Fury. This time, no pure soldier rush. Wonder if that's dependent on the map size. And we see 2 walls of sages going back and forth here. Large L League getting the better of the confrontation, both Archons having moved up and those laboratories having escaped the rubble. A214 on the other hand, not so lucky, and both their labs and Archons caught underneath the rubble, and that will be the game. A214 setting down a lab, and Large L League mirroring them, setting the lab in the same corner on the opposite side. It seems as if Large L League actually opting for 2 labs instead of 1. Maybe this will help their gold production and really help them surge up a wall of sages here. The sages choosing not to cross that big rubble wall until they have enough reinforcements. And
now
large
they're
owl,
surging forward.
yeah, large owl actually moving up their archons so that they can get sages to the front line quicker. And that's large owl league's victory, 3-0.
All right, so that covers our round 2 winners bracket. And now we're moving on to the round 2. I think this is round 2 losers A, or also known as on the challenge bracket as losers round 2. So we'll now be seeing Polar Bears versus Emery C squared. So this is in our round 2 losers bracket.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get some new maps here. Starting off on Cobra, a map we only saw one time, I believe, in the previous sets with the sheer number of 3-0 sweeps we had.
Yeah. Interesting choice by Emery C squared there to move on to a higher rubble looking.
Yeah, I wonder if they're maybe trying to hide away, seeing that the map is small, but that is I mean, there's certainly worse places that Archon could have gone, but that's not low rubble by any means.
Yeah, a very curious Archon placement.
And not so sure what Polar Bears builders are doing there. I'm not sure if they're meant to create a farm or if they're waiting for enough lead to build laboratories. Now there's 3 of them, all 3 of them not really doing anything. But just using that lead lead they got from mining out the lead everywhere, and just with a huge wave of soldiers here aiming to take down the Archon. And that's a watchtower. I am proud of you, Polar Bears. So now on a new map.
Octopus game.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where this title came from, but it sounds vaguely familiar.
Yes, but let's see. It's a game of octopuses.
Wouldn't it be octopi?
It probably would. It would be octopi.
So Emery C actually, instead of farming those lead pals, actually just completely mining them out. And Polar Bears coming back with a big wave of soldiers. Emery C not having the defenses. I believe Emery C was trying to make a farm up there in the top left corner, but just too slow to farm it out.
All right, so Polar Bears needs one more to stay in the running, while Emery C squared needs to win all 3 of the following matches to stay in this tournament. So this is a losers bracket of the double elimination tournament here.
So very interesting map. 4 Archons and 2 Archons on interchanging sides. I don't know if those Archons saw each other, but one happened to go bottom right and the other went top left. So they might have just barely missed each other.
Looks like Emery C has set up an Archon family, the one right there, the sort of 3 of them hanging out together, or 4 of them hanging out together.
But that soldier rush from Polar Bears quickly taking them out.
Swarm coming down. I guess they got a bit lost there, didn't know where the other 2 were.
Yeah, the soldiers looking for the last 2 Archons, but those Archons hidden in the bottom left. But Emery C squared just trying to send miners in one by one to their deaths, creating a farm for Polar Bears. Not sure if those miners are searching for lead or if they're trying to move as a unit. But now I believe the Archons have been discovered, and you see this. Those are watchtowers. I approve of this strategy.
We have some watchtowers flying in as well. They're walking watchtowers. And so the Polar Bears takes this one out. And so, and congratulations to Emery C squared for also making it this far in the tournament. Now you have Damacles versus Leo.
And starting on Cobra, a very lead devoid map. So especially interested in seeing how Sage teams perform here with so little lead. But for now, it looks like both of these teams choosing to just go with pure miners and soldiers, and Damacles coming out on top due to a greater number of soldiers and lead. So Damacles taking the first game 1-0. And now we have Octopus game. Leo immediately mining those lead deposits out while Damacles choosing to farm them instead. And Damacles actually getting the better of this trade and now building a laboratory, looking to rush in a few stages and building a watchtower in 2 as well.
Mutated watchtower as well.
Yeah, Damacles taking advantage of every unit in the game. So congratulations to Damacles for winning Octopus game 2-0. So once again, we see Leo just completely mining out these red deposits instead of farming them, looking for like maybe an early game power spike. But Damacles farming them and eventually coming out on top due to the lead regeneration. And now they've built once again one of every unit, and now they're looking to attack with those Archons in the middle of the enemy team. Not sure.
Had a bit of a standoff there before with the Archons facing right against each other.
So I wonder if maybe they're using the Archons as vision units, perhaps. Not so sure what's going on there, but they
You
do
really
have...
wanted vision, you know. If you really wanted vision, you'd be using those labs for vision, because the labs are the ones with the really big vision radius. But congratulations to Damacles for taking this match, and congratulations to Leo for making it so far. Next we have Random Forest and the Duck side. I guess that's a play on the dark side.
The Duck side of the Force, classic. I too remember that line from Star Wars. So Random Forest not building any soldiers, but you see as soon as they spot an enemy soldier, now spawning units of their own. But Duck side with the greater power, but now getting destroyed by enemy soldiers. Seems as if the Duck side of the Force was not as powerful as it deemed. And now Random Forest just with more resources just going to push into the enemy Archon and destroy it.
Back to Octopus game. Seems like that Random Forest quickly taking out the 2 Archons.
And now I am now realizing that the Archon are the Snowman's eyes.
Yeah, so the snowman is very asymmetrical.
Indeed.
Disconcerting.
That is a big wave of soldiers by Random Forest. Also with a lead lead, it looks as if they got a burst of gold there after taking out one of the Archons, and now they're spawning. I don't see what that gold went towards. Perhaps they upgraded a unit or Sage. But now taking out another Archon and looking to find those bottom right Archons with their force of soldiers here. You see those soldiers trying to avoid the rubble. Lots of teams after Sprint 2 learning that running across rubble is a good way to spell doom for yourself if the enemy team's just waiting on the other side.
Definitely seeing a lot less Sage play in these games though.
Yeah, interesting. For the past few matches, just pure soldier rushes against each other with a few other units thrown in. I wonder how these strategies will fare against the Sages we saw in the previous round.
So congratulations to Random Forest for taking this, and congratulations to the Duck side for making it this far into the qualifying tournament. Next up, we have Adam versus Daniel.
So Adam immediately looking upwards while Daniel exploring the bottom side of this map. But because Adam sort of looking horizontally rather than vertically, immediately finds the enemy Archon, and Daniel grabbing more lead, but not able to use that lead as the Archon is just destroyed. A very swift victory by Adam. And I believe,
farm.
Yeah, Daniel spawning a builder and killing off those builders next to their Archon. Maybe on these lead devoid maps, that's going to be an advantage. But Adam actually is now finding the farm and the Archon and just very quickly taking out both of them. And here, one of the Archons already discovered, now 2 Archons and 3 Archons discovered by Adam. one Archon down, and now looking to destroy the other two. Daniel trying to create a farm, but not providing enough defenses to the farms, and instead getting driven back by a wave of soldiers. And now you just see all of these soldiers collapsing onto one point, and that Archon trying to run, but failing to do so. So Adam taking the set 3-0.
Yes, so congratulations to Adam and congratulations to Daniel for putting up a great fight. Somebody seems to have some opinions against Java. We have that against I Hate Java.
So IHA Java, what a mysterious name. Both teams just spawning a lot of miners, but Chad actually bringing a soldier along and winning fights because of that. And now they've spotted that Archon, so collapsing onto that Archon.
And those
Lots
builders.
of builders being made, and not going to be so good for defending. And IHA to Java being taken out by Chad very quickly because of the soldier rush.
Those builders, if they produce sages, may come into more play on these bigger maps, though.
Yeah, and especially in a map with a bit more lead like this one, maybe we'll see. Actually, Chad already finding an Archon and now aiming to take it down. And oh, they actually took out the other Archon while I wasn't looking.
Wow.
So Chad, once again, a very swift victory. Maybe something will be different on this map now that there are 4 Archons to eliminate rather than 1 or 2. Oh, still we haven't really discovered what the purpose of those builders by IHA to Java are. It seems as if they're not building labs. Oh, they're creating watchtowers, actually. So a few watchtowers being built, and that watchtower actually holding off against the huge wave of soldiers.
And we see why watchtowers are good.
Yeah, but unfortunately just not able to sustain an economy now that they've been rushed down. And those watchtowers are behind the Archons. So Archons destroyed before the watchtowers are, and that will be the game. So Chad winning 3-0 against IH8 Java.
Yes, and congratulations to IH8 Java for putting up a very good fight in this round of the qualifying tournament. Now we have Philip against Fried Shrimps.
So on this map, we've just generally seen a lot of very fast play with these Archons so close to each other, not really separated by too much rubble.
Oh, and
Philip already putting down a lab.
Sage.
And these labs are now crossing that rubble bridge between the two, and they've spotted that Archon. I wonder if those Furies are just going to whittle down that Archon before Fried Shrimps can respond, and indeed, that's what happened. Oh, Philip already spawning a builder, but that builder waiting for enough lead to put down the lavatory. Also moving
few sages.
Yeah, moving one of their Archons out of the higher rubble area. Meanwhile, Fried Shrimps, I believe, is trying to farm. That lead pile is not natural.
Too many sages
just a
to
huge
farm.
wave of sages. Yeah, unfortunately not able to hold off. And now on this map, once again, we see Fried Shrimps starting a farm already on all of their Archons. But Philip opting to create sages instead and lavatories instead. Both teams actually grabbing, so Philip grabbing the Archon first and actually surviving with one of their Archons on a sliver of health. Now those sages chasing the builders away on all sides and sort of taking those farms as theirs. You see the sages just huddling around the Archon as they wait for their action cooldown to return. And now we just see a body of sages. I wonder how that body logic is coded, but moving together as one unit, and Philip taking the set 3-0.
Congratulations to Fried Shrimps for making it so far.
Now we have nerds versus the name is required.
Very salient observation that names are required.
Yeah, maybe a nemesis to the unexpected team name team. I believe name is required actually has already discovered the enemy Archon with a few soldiers here. But Nerds returning the attack finds the Archon. I believe that Archon and Healer are healing each other.
But without anything else, they won't be able to put out much of a fight.
Yeah, so unfortunately that one builder not able to sustain the Archon.
That could synergize quite well, though. I could imagine surrounding Archon with builders and then just having them all heal each other. Be an interesting synergy.
Yeah, it definitely could. And that one soldier fighting the Nerds, but eventually fought off.
And it
And
seems
Nerds
as if
with the rush.
the Archon builder healing each other strategy is not able to put up against maybe 5 or 6 more soldiers there. So unfortunately not able to hold off. And now we're on the 3rd game here. Nerds looking to close off the set, and now has spawned a total of 9 builders to heal itself, and definitely able to hold off. You see those soldiers. Oh, not really sure how all of those builders and soldiers died immediately, but
Well, builders
same
don't have
thing
too much
happening.
health, so probably as soon
yeah,
as the
though it
Archon
seems
died.
like the soldiers prioritizing the Archon over the builder, and immediately after discovering that next Archon, just swarming towards it. And we'll be able to see this again once towards the last Archon here. A body of soldiers just swarming towards an Archon as soon as it discovers it. And actually getting one of their own Archons attacked, but name is required, just not enough lead to sustain a concentrated attack. And as soon as that Archon is discovered, that huge mass of soldiers just swarming onto it.
Name is required did manage to take one Archon off Nerds, though. They took off one Archon.
That is true.
All that of it.
Yeah, name is required, managing to grab an Archon. And Nerds ultimately winning.
And really, really interesting strategy as well. Now we have Jail versus Die Tungsten. I wonder about the team name, the Die Tungsten. Are they having
like
2 tungsten atoms?
2 tungstens, I suppose. Maybe it's a team of 2, and I don't know.
Yeah, both with the names starting.
But looks like there's a very ferocious fight going on up this upper area. Die Tungsten getting the better, and now discovering the Archon with a wave of soldiers and able to take it out. And now back on Octopus game.
It occurs to me that we still haven't seen the 4th or 5th maps in this set yet. So we still haven't seen any of these maps.
Yeah, so I personally rooting for Jill just so we can see some new maps here. But it looks like Die Tungsten with a huge lead lead here.
We saw that central lead deposit get taken out very quickly once both teams had discovered it.
Yeah, and a few builders made by Die Tungsten, maybe that'll come into play in this 3rd match here. Not really sure what. Oh, actually building watchtowers. So one Archon already discovered and about to be destroyed by Jail. That Archon on the other side of the map, very quickly taken out. And a Sage produced actually by Die Tungsten, managing to steal out the gold from that Archon. And Jail now pushing towards this next Archon, looking to make this a set of 4 or 5, maybe looking to reverse sweep. And Jail now looking to destroy that top right Archon. I believe the bottom right Archon has also been discovered, and fighting back in this 3rd game, not making it easy for Die Tungsten to take the victory. And wow, amassing a huge wave of soldiers to just eliminate this last Archon.
All right, so now we get to see map 4. I'm excited to find out what this map is. We have Deer. I guess this is the companion to Cobra. We had Cobra, which was the head of the Cobra, and now we have the head of the Deer.
Ah, okay. I was not seeing the head of the Deer until you mentioned it. I was very confused where the Deer was. But we see Die Tungsten taking an early advantage here, just grabbing up all that lead in the center, and Jill not able to grab any lead for themselves and just quickly destroyed by Dai Tungsten here.
Congratulations to Dai Tungsten for winning this 3-1. And congratulations to Jail for putting up a really good fight in that match. Now we have Sealancer versus Absolutely with some weird collection of capitalization.
And Sealancer, as we saw in the previous match they went through, immediately spawning soldiers and absolutely making a farm here. You see the builders being spawned and destroyed, but unfortunately not able to defend this farm. And if they're not able to do that, Sealancer moving their Archon up, just going to take this lead for themselves and destroy that Archon. I believe those builders are healing the Archon.
Also trying the healing strat, but
and there aren't enough soldiers to actually eliminate the Archon due to the 3 or 4 builders surrounding it.
Oh wow! And these
Absolutely
sages putting up a
striking
fight.
that.
This might be the comeback.
Wow! So we see the builder Archon healing strat.
Now. All of that lead is now on Blue's side. It's all the lead is theirs.
And
So
wow, that was
Absolutely
quite the
take this
comeback.
Wow.
Wow! A swing and a comeback from Absolutely. Let's see if they can replicate this comeback on this next map.
Yeah, clearly that builder healing strategy works.
And Absolutely already setting down a lab and spawning sages. And also
very undecided about whether it wants to lead or the Archon.
Yeah, and that Archon is actually not doing anything. Wonder if maybe there's a bug going on or if they're just opting to only save one Archon here. Finally spawning a soldier to run downwards, but just getting sort of chased away by a sage, and one Archon down, now looking to just take the second Archon that's been sitting still.
Absolutely quickly taking out that first, or Sealancer taking out that first Archon quite quickly. See
And
if they can
setting
rally
down,
here.
yeah, setting down 3 labs from Absolutely. Perhaps that's going to aid them in a very strong gold production.
And that
Quite the
huge line.
Yeah, that lead farm just creeping outwards. But down one Archon, if they're not able to eliminate the Archons of Sealancer, this will be Sealancer's win. Then they've actually taken out an Archon while I spoke.
Interesting that these farms are squares instead of circles. You'd imagine that.
Yeah, and interesting how big these farms are becoming. It seems like it might be a little too big.
Yeah, it seems like you're handing some farms to opponents with the number of buildings you're making here, builders you're making here, but maybe
just taking over the map and farming.
That income is insane though.
Really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking to replicate that one map where every single unit, every single square is lead.
Map text.
And those Archons crowding around that one poor soldier, not actually hitting it for some reason. That soldier is just killing Archons slowly one by one, while that the massive sages are just surrounding it, not killing it for some reason.
All right, let's speed this up and head this to the end.
Yeah, not really sure what's going on here with all those sages.
Look at this.
Must be a bug that
Wow.
tells sages not to hit soldiers.
It's amazing. Look at what they've done to this map with almost 50,000 lead.
Yeah, like 80% of the map is lead and the other like 50% is blue units.
This is actually amazing.
Yeah,
Right.
but might come back to bite them in future games if they can't stop their farming.
To those teams playing bingo, maybe they should have put this as a bingo square. Half of the map covered in lead. Absolutely winning the set 3-0.
We now have Ruby Grapefruit. So we now have Ruby Grapefruit versus Vortex cover.
So once again, starting on Cobra, as we've seen, very little lead on this map, and Ruby Grapefruit just mining out those lead piles. So the new lead will be wherever units die, and actually it won't matter since they're just gonna take out that Archon. So Ruby Grapefruit striking first and taking the first map.
Ruby Grapefruit seems to be a quick playing team. And mining that middle eye worth of lead.
Yeah, and Ruby Grapefruit now collapsing on this top Archon, and they discovered that bottom Archon. I expect them to head over it immediately now that they've taken this top one. And Ruby Grapefruit with their very quick rush, taking the second game on Octopus game.
Just 300 turns. Wow.
And now here we see, I believe Ruby Grapefruit has already discovered that first Archon and moved their Archon to safety. Logic and
Oh,
grouping the
and they
Archons
missed
seems to
taking
really
that
help
one out.
them.
Oh, no. Okay. They were able to take it out at the end.
Yeah, Vortex cover looking to strike back, but Ruby Grapefruit does have Sages here, and quite a few of them at that. Those Sages using the Fury anomaly in order to just wipe out these soldiers very quickly, and now taking out the other Archon. And those are upgraded Archons from Ruby Grapefruit and upgraded labs.
Wow.
Do you like to see the good mutations?
Yes, I do approve of these
here.
mutations.
Congratulations to Ruby Grapefruit, and congratulations to Vortex Cover for making it this far in the tournament. We now have Binary Ballistics and Daddy Darwin.
I wonder how far these teams can go with just getting us to say their team names.
That was not a challenge.
No, it was not a challenge. Please don't do that next season. We see a little skirmish going on in the top here, making actually benefiting Binary Ballistics with most of these troops dying on their side and just making a little nice lead farm for them.
Honestly, one of the longer games we've seen on Cobra, but still pretty quick.
Yeah, Cobra and Octopus game we've seen has very short lengths. Daddy Darwin now moving towards this Archon that I believe they've discovered, but Binary Ballistics looping soldiers around the sides and taking out that bottom left Archon while Daddy Darwin focused on the right side Archon. And now I'm expecting those soldiers, that huge massive soldiers in the bottom left, maybe collecting until they reach a large enough size. Now you see them mobbing towards this remaining Archon and striking and taking the second map here. And now Binary Ballistics already aiming to eliminate one Archon, but Daddy Darwin doing the same, almost taking out that Archon, but it finally
looks like they
managed.
traded Archons.
Yeah, but Binary Ballistics looks like coming out on top, able to snatch up the gold from both Archons, I believe. And now moving towards this bottom right Archon with a Sage in tow. Never mind, they discovered the top right one and decided to go for that instead.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Daddy Darwin has much defense.
Those soldiers suddenly just scattering. I wonder how the soldier micro must be coded. Maybe they're trying to make. Oh, now they have washouts and now they're just collapsing onto the remaining two Archons. That's a very swift elimination of the remaining two Archons. So Binary Ballistics winning 3-0. Congratulations.
And the MIT of the South again, and go Beavers.
So as MIT residents, I believe we're obligated to root for Go Beavers here.
Yes.
Wait a second. Actually, that's a disguise. That's Go Bears. Is that a Berkeley propaganda here? So I believe we have two teams representing different schools, but disguising as MIT, both of them. Go Beavers / Bears. Sort of winning out on this skirmish so far, but MIT of the South supplying a few more soldiers and not making it so easy.
This has been quite the battle here.
Yeah.
Go Bears
Beavers.
Quite a bit more lead though, so they might be able to this up.
Go Bears with more units, but a lot of them are miners and a lot of them are caught on higher level. MIT of the South, on the other hand, forcing their way through this low rubble area and suddenly collapsed on from below. And Go Bears taking the first game.
Yes, we could see some exciting games between these two teams with a 1,000-round Cobra game. Oh, and cleaning up that eye as they both get there.
Yeah, so we see just one builder sitting on the right finally has a lab set down, but I think it's a little too late now that Go Bears / Beavers has eliminated their bottom right Archon. Those 3 sages who are trying to fight back, but they are alone against a wave of soldiers just waiting to eliminate the next Archon.
Go Bears really just seeming to win with this economy.
Yeah. So I don't think we have confirmation on which school MIT of the South is, but Go Bears coming out on top 2-0 for now.
Oh, and the chat seems to say they're from Berkeley, so we're correct.
Now, one Archon already discovered in those stages using Fury to eliminate it. Now looking to sweep towards this other snowman, inciting Fury on the snowman, and now having discovered that top right Archon, spamming that anomaly over it, and now looking to move towards this bottom side.
Yeah, that poor snowman just getting destroyed.
Yeah, but MIT of the South putting up a fight. This is the 3rd game, and they're not letting Go Bears / Berkeley just take an easy victory, accumulating a huge army of sages in the corner there, but they're leaving an Archon to die. But Sage is generally a much better late game unit. I expect if Go Bears, if they're not able to eliminate these other Archons, or if MIT of the South is able to close it out, they will win a fight. But those Sages are not doing anything at the moment. Not sure what the logic on the combat might be there. But if they are,
oh no, what is this?
Yeah, we might
They're leaving that Archon to die.
If they leave that last Archon to die, Go Bears actually just snatching a victory from MIT of the South. MIT of the South not able to discover the last 2 Archons and just leaving a huge army in the corner. So
wow, we really thought they had that one.
Final score on that was 3-2. So
wow.
But wow, but I guess this game does go to the Beavers.
Yeah, so MIT of the South just missing a very narrow chance to reverse sweep there if they took that match.
But congrats to MIT of the South for putting up such a good fight and getting this far.
Yes, we now have Battlecruiser versus Road Salt.
Very curious about the story behind Road Salt as a name.
It seems as if once again we see a lot of confrontation in this middle area. Battlecruiser moving a wave of soldiers over, a wall of them, very carefully, and now eliminating this Archon on these low rubble areas. So taking the first match. Now on Octopus game, Battlecruiser getting the better of this confrontation. The Road Salt soldiers sitting on high rubble and also isolated. And now the bottom left Archon having been discovered, being rushed down by 47 soldiers, and Battlecruiser taking the second game once again. And now we see Road Salt striking back and almost eliminating that Archon. It's surviving on a sliver of health, and now Battlecruiser striking back and taking out the respective Archon. And now looking to eliminate that bottom Archon as well with this pile of soldiers they've accumulated. Big lead lead for Battlecruiser, and maybe able to just take the game off of that. Now just a blanket of soldiers covering that bottom Archon, surrounding it from all sides, and that top Archon about to be discovered. And now it's discovered. You see the massive soldiers moving over to eliminate it as well. So Battlecruiser taking the set 3-0. Congratulations.
we now have unrecognized team name and 1997 Toyota.
An unrecognized team not actually fully utilizing their lead resources at the start, only spawning 2 or 3 miners instead, but now slapping down a laboratory immediately. You see Toyota, I'll call them for now, immediately after spawning the Archon, putting a few soldiers in, but a little too late. Sages have been spawned.
Despite having found the Archon, doesn't seem to really be attacking there.
I'm not sure what anomaly that just was, the big red one. It must have been, surely it's not Abyss considering that's over their own resources, and it wasn't Fury or Charge. Not so sure what happened there, but now a wave of Sages coming in and taking out that Archon with Fury.
Look at those Sages from unrecognized team name.
And yeah, just a huge wave of Sages taking the second game for unrecognized team name. And once again, a laboratory immediately set down. These Archons all in portable mode, looking to group together, it seems. And now one Archon discovered and eliminated, Sages swarming towards the next one and looking to eliminate the other two, a common pattern we've seen on this map. Now those Sages scattering all over the map, looking to find the last Archon as soon as they've discovered, piercing into that defense and eliminating the remaining Archon. So congratulations to unrecognized team name for winning 3-0.
We have Hoson and Whis.
And 2 builders immediately made. I think those are just trying to heal the Archon maybe. We see the return of the Archon builder healing loop. Able to hold off early waves of soldiers, but eventually not going to be able to ult them off. But looks like in the meanwhile, they're just grabbing a little bit of a lead lead for themselves. And is Hoson farming again? I believe they are. So Hoson is able to hold off. They will have a much better economy, especially on this map where lead is very low. But some of that lead is going to go towards Wisp if it's not well defended. Looks like it won't matter. Enough soldiers able to take out that Archon.
It was an upgraded one as well, but not quite able to save it.
Indeed. I wonder what the ratio of soldiers to Archon you can have, what soldiers to builders you can have there with different levels of Archons. So I believe one Archon already being eliminated from Wisp. But that Archon managing to stay alive, and because as those builders up, heals back to full immediately. On the other hand, Hoson creating a very stable lead farm, not yet covering the map, but maybe we'll see something in Snowman. And now looking to take out that remaining Archon. And now we once again see the builders, 2 builders allocated to each Archon, but on the other hand, Hoson running over the rest of the map. And if Whis isn't able to get a footing in this map, they're going to very quickly lose a big lead lead to Hoson's farming strategy and get swarmed by a wave of soldiers. We already see that happening on the top right and the bottom. Left side Archon already eliminated. And now Hoson looking to take out that last Archon in the corner with a Sage in tow from the dead Archons. Actually, a few Watchtowers set down as well. And that will be Holon's victory, 3-0.
Now we have A214 versus Chicken Tendies.
And once again, we see a little fight going on the top side of the map here, but A214 more soldiers than Chicken Tendies does. And those miners running in, but they're not able to defend it. So while Chicken Tendies is able to pick up the lead here from the dead bodies, not able to actually defend against this big wave of soldiers crossing the rubble. But holding on for now with a few less soldiers, just because of that rubble wall there that A214 is trying to cross. But finally, having broken through, A214 swarming in and now eliminating the Archon from two sides. And one Archon already discovered, but a sage produced and immediately chases out the soldier from Chicken Tendies. Chicken Tendies, on the other hand, found the other Archon, and there's no sages here to defend it. One Archon down already, but now a big wave of sages looking in both direction of Chicken Tendies' forces and going to discover this Archon in a second here. I believe the Archon now discovered a big wave of soldiers and sages flying in to take it out. And now Chicken Tendies looking to put up a fight here, but a big wave of soldiers just instantaneously removing that Archon. And now Chicken Tendies looking to take a game back, already having discovered it in Archon and whittling it down with two soldiers, getting sort of baited by a miner there for a second. And finally eliminates the first Archon. Oh, sorry, that's A214. Eliminates the second Archon now, and looking to grab on these other two with a big wave of sages.
Yeah, A214 able to come back from one Archon down twice in a row. Yeah,
and now about to eliminate these remaining two, completely running over the map. And congratulations to A214 for winning the game and the set 3-0.
I think this takes us into the next round of the losers bracket now. So we now have the major round where we are going to have 8 matches in this set of the losers bracket. So we're still in. So now we're in losers round 3 according to challenge. So starting with match number 71 with Damacles versus Polar Bears.
And starting on Cobra, see a few builders created already. Those builders, not really sure. It seems as if they're trying to do the healing loop with the Archons, but when the soldiers target the builders first, that doesn't work so well. Now Damocles just coming in with a big wave of soldiers here. And now Polar Bear, I think, still not sure what that builder is meant to do. I believe it's meant to set down a lap, but already, so moving their Archons together, but bringing in a wave of soldiers in with them. And now 2 Watchtowers set down by Damocles, but the match taken by them as well. And now, once again, Polar Bears grouping their Archons in the top right corner of this map, but Damocles has discovered this, and now a big wave of soldiers coming in with sages in tow.
And some Watchtowers too.
Yeah, and 2 Watchtowers just completely unable to defend, and Damocles taking the set 3-0. So congratulations to Damocles. Now we have Adam versus Random Forest. Adam immediately spawning 2 soldiers. Maybe those benefit them, as we've seen a lot of fighting going on in the early stages of this map. And they found their way to the enemy Archon, but soldiers a little dispersed with the rubble and immediately harassed back. Now Random Forest with their own wave of soldiers, the 2 soldiers sort of trading blows from opposite sides of this wall, but Random Forest getting the better of it with the big lead infusion that you get from the fight. But lots of miners and not so many soldiers. Maybe Adam can take it back if they're able to grab up this lead, but it seems as if Random Forest just pushing in with a wave of soldiers and taking them the game.
Random Force seems to be losing a lot of their units and losing that Archon there.
Yeah, and unfortunately only giving in some gold and sages to Adam as a result, but able to discover that bottom right Archon, and
yeah, it has a lot of units.
yeah, if they're able to take that out and then take over that lead farm that's been created, looks like it might be a comeback here. Random Forest losing an Archon early, but trading the top for the bottom, and now grabbing onto all this lead with a big lead lead over Adam. And now they've discovered this other Archon. Adam trying to defend with a wave of soldiers, but those all have very low health. I see a big fight here going on in the middle, a huge lead farm there. If anybody can grab onto that lead, it'll really benefit them. Actually, Adam pushing back, and suddenly we're not so sure who's ahead. Random Force are stowing away lots of their soldiers in the back there. Wonder how their soldier macro works. Like we're seeing 2 different strategies for fighting. Adam grouping their soldiers in a big crowd and taking out enemies with a big wave of soldiers, while Random Force are stowing them away and
It's
chipping
still
away.
going to a tiebreaker though. It doesn't look like this is going to end with Archon Annihilation. It looks like
Yeah,
into a bit of a stalemate.
Adam looks like they don't want to rush forwards without knowing where the Archon is. They've now discovered the Archon, but still not choosing to rush forwards. It looks like we're going to reach a tiebreaker. Both teams with 1 Archon each. Unless something changes in this next second, we're going to be seeing maybe a gold or a lead tiebreaker, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like gold.
And Adam, just a huge body of soldiers there. I believe note. So Random Forest winning. I believe they have more. Not
Gold?
so sure. No, they both have 0 gold here, and Adam has more
There's
lead.
36 gold here on Random Forest side.
Ah, okay.
No sages, but definitely some loose gold in the bank.
Yeah, so picking up that gold from those Archon deaths is very useful.
Yeah, very close match. If if Adam managed to grab onto that gold, they'd actually win the match there. But unfortunately for them, not. And actually losing an Archon, Adam is the top Archon also being targeted and annihilated, and now looking to take the bottom one. And that Archon is very low health. And Random Forest taking the set 3-0.
We see a quick lab put up by Philip and those sages coming into play.
Yeah, Chad going to have a lot of trouble rushing down the Archon now that those sages are up. Now sages fighting back and starting to chip away at this Archon. So first match point to Philip. And now hitting the bottom right Archon, but on the other hand, Philip letting them take that Archon in exchange for the top Archon. Now a big wave of soldiers coming in. And those sages just wiping out the other Archon with Fury. So Philip up 2-0, looking to take the 3rd game here. Chad, on the other hand, looking to rush down that right Archon and maybe accelerate into almost eliminating a lab, and now taking out the laboratories of Philip. Maybe this is going to be their chance back into the set, but all their soldiers at low health, and
Those sages are going to be hard to fight.
Yeah, those sages just moving in and wiping out those low health soldiers. Chad getting a bit of an early lead, but ultimately losing it to the Sages. Philip taking this at 3-0. And now we have DiTungsten versus Nerds. DiTungsten, the first one to strike, eliminating a soldier and not crossing yet. A very smart strategy from what we've seen, because crossing that with a very thin line of soldiers tends to result in a counterattack, but instead choosing to defend with those soldiers. Nerds forcing their way
still
in.
happening though.
Yeah, Nerds going to take the Archon. And Nerds bursting down an Archon in the bottom right and already looking to attack the other one as well. Maybe a very quick victory for them. And in both of these two maps, a very swift victory from Nerds. And already grabbing one of the Archons. Looks like Nerds has a very coordinated soldiers, just snatching one Archon after the next. Now just waiting for orders, waiting to find the next Archon. And now that they found it, you see the big wave of soldiers just collapsing on top of it.
Just a matter of time till they discover the third one.
And as soon as that upper miner maybe sneaks in, or maybe a soldier happens to wander in, they're going to rush that Archon immediately. Or maybe this is going to go to a tiebreak, but unless DiTungsten able to snatch away some Archons, won't be able to fight back here.
Yeah, seems like a little bit of a pathfinding glitch potentially, or not able to find that last Archon.
So Nerds winning 3-0. Now we have Ruby Grapefruit versus Absolutely.
See if that same strategy comes into play.
Yeah, I think Absolutely was the team that did farming plus every single type of unit, but immediately getting rushed down by soldiers. The farm not able to beat up. So
Yeah.
Ruby Grapefruit taking the first round.
We've seen Ruby Grapefruit is very quick. Be hard for Absolutely to build up that farm.
Ruby Grapefruit immediately snatching up all this lead and just rushing both the labs and the Archon.
But that Sage army is going to be tough. Absolutely might be able to make a comeback.
Yeah, if they're maybe able to farm up some of these lead and block off the Sages, they have a pretty big chance of coming back in if they can just hold off for a little bit longer. But looks like Ruby Grapefruit has a farm of their own, so maybe not going to be so easy to hold up against this big wave of Sages. And the Sages sniping it with a fury. And Ruby Grapefruit grouping their Archons, while Absolutely leaving that one Archon out to die, going to result in a few Sages being built. But we've generally seen very slow matches on this map, with maybe one or two Archons in the corners not being discovered. Wonder if the farming strategy will really work out here. They can just hold out in the defense. And now they have Sages of their own, just swarming in one by one. And now we're getting a Sage fight here. Maybe team with better Sage macro going to win it.
Absolutely needs to take an Archon before the tiebreaker though, because this seems like it's going to go to tiebreaker.
And it's really hard to get Ruby Grapefruit's Archons. All of them are grouped together. We see one upgraded Archon. I can't really spot the other ones, but I'd assume they're also upgraded. So unless they can break through in the next 200 rounds here, going to be a win for Ruby Grapefruit just because they sniped off that early Archon.
What a game.
And Ruby Grapefruit winning off the tiebreaker, defending their Archons really well. So taking the set 3-0. And here we see the blue Archon already discovered, but I think the red Archon has been as well. And now go Bears or Beavers, actually getting pushed back by binary ballistics and a wave of soldiers coming in from below where go Bears was not able to defend. So
Yeah, binary ballistics putting up a nice defense there to come back.
yeah, very good soldier macro sweeping in from below. A very hard angle to defend from.
And a much more open angle on that map as well.
Yeah, Go Bears unfortunately not able to hold a defense here on the bottom right. And now binary ballistics looking to rush in and take the other Archon. So up 2-0.
Binary ballistics immediately taking that first Archon.
Yeah, and once again, if we see, it looks like they're not moving their own Archon, so losing it. So 3 Archons to 3, but they've discovered the other 2 enemy Archons, that miner on the very side running around, and now eliminating one, looking to take out the other. See a body of soldiers just sort of moving as one unit. Very good soldier macro from binary ballistics, and they built watchtowers as well. Wonder if those watchtowers are going to come into play, but it doesn't matter. The soldiers just take out the last Archon.
Unrecognized team name and battle cruiser. Quickly putting up some sages. Unrecognized team name is. So, but those sages seem to be going down as opposed to, oh, and now they've discovered the Archon, and that's quick victory.
And now on Octopus game. 2 labs already built, both labs discovered, but those waves of sages are very hard to defend against. And very quickly, very swiftly taking out both Archons. So labs already built in a very public place in that middle, but looks like it won't matter with just that wave of sages crossing the map and eradicating each Archon with fury. Snowman's face covered in lead. And now unrecognized team taking the set 3-0. Now we have A214 versus Husen. I think I pronounced that at least 4 or 5 different ways by this point. See a little back and forth between these soldiers. The attacker always getting pushed back here as you sort of have to funnel in 1 soldier at a time into a wall of 3 soldiers. So A214 looks like they're just sort of waiting for a large enough force to push through, but Hosen building up a defense and taking control of everywhere else in this map. A214 allocating all their eggs in one basket.
Yeah, Hosen trying to mine, but seemingly struggling to find those deposits.
Yeah, but it looks like it won't matter. All of the dead soldiers from A214's offense, giving Hosen a very nice lead farm next to them. But A214 making a lead farm of their own in the middle there and sending miners to grab it all up.
Yes. We see a builder there.
Yeah, and Hosen now trying to push through, but once again, the offense is very disadvantaged in this little choke point here.
Could we see a tiebreaker for Cobra?
Yeah, and we might reach a tiebreaker here. Lots of lead on the floor from all of this fighting, and neither team able to break through. A214, a huge mass of soldiers. Maybe they can push through here and finally able to chip down that Archon.
Definitely the longest Cobra game we've seen, though. This could be interesting.
And finally, we have Sages. A214 may be favoring different strategies based on the map. And
quickly taking out that
very well.
That was quick for A214.
Yeah, snatching a very quick victory here, and now onto this third map. Seeing a lot of 3-0 sweeps where it seems like whoever grabs onto the better offensive strategy here seems to be dominating the games. And 2 Archons already gone.
And A214 actually able to hold on to that Archon from the beginning. And
yeah, and now looking to grab onto that Archon in the corner. And yeah, Hosen not able to defend. A214 taking the set 3-0.
And so now I think, if I remember correctly, I think what this means is we're back up to our winners bracket. Let me just double check that. I think we are up to our winners bracket. So we're here in round 3 of the winners bracket. And so I remember right at the start, we said that if you made it into round 4, so winning in round 3 and making it into round 4 will mean that you qualify for a spot in the final tournament. So each of these matches now, so each of the next 8 matches is going to produce 1 finalist. And so the winners here will be advancing to the final tournament. And the other team will have another chance through the losers bracket to qualify. So we're going to start now with the first match here, Kryptonite versus DontAtMe. We're going to have 1 finalist from this match. All right.
Starting off on Cobra.
Seems that we have a lot of Cobra matches. So this is quite interesting. But I guess if it's Cobra, then I guess let's go ahead and do the Cobra match.
a lot of miners from both teams.
And Kryptonite sneaking through the center and just eliminating these miners one by one. And
Those stages may not be enough.
Yeah, I think they built sages, but for some reason those sages aren't hitting. I can't tell if those sages are hitting back. It looks like the sage are striking back, but losing quite a few sages immediately. Able to snatch up the reclaimed gold, but
DontAtMe able to hold off that first attack, but it seems like they'll fall to this one.
yeah, and they moved their Archon up to this place, which is a good place to defend, but not if your Archon is straight up against the wall and getting sniped by Fury. So Kryptonite striking first and taking the first map. Now onto Octopus game. I believe neither of these teams have actually played on these maps before. DontAtMe sort of running away from a lot of troops there with their Archon and now surging forwards with sages and able to defend. I don't see where Kryptonite's Archon in the middle of the triangle. Trying to play Octopus game, but
Both of these teams with a lot of Archon movement.
yeah, and we see people running across the middle here. And finally, Kryptonite taking the match with the big wave of sages.
So what this means is if Kryptonite can take this third one, Kryptonite will if Kryptonite can take this third one, they will be advancing to the finals. So there is, and so DontAtMe needs to take the next 3 in a row to take this one here. But even if not, they will have another chance through the losers bracket. But let's see what happens in this one.
Both teams spawning a miner each from each Archon. Interesting miner strategy there. And now Kryptonite immediately rushing through the top and finding an Archon, 2 Archons actually, and immediately taking them out. DontAtMe, a bit of a slower start, building some labs. Kryptonite spamming some labs on the other side too. And now sages are on the front line. DontAtMe just getting rushed down by these sages and trying to hold on, but Kryptonite qualifying themselves and taking the set 3-0. Congratulations to Kryptonite as the first confirmed finalist. Now we have
Wallolo versus CodeMonkeys.
And once again, starting on Cobra, Wallolo immediately building a lab, but CodeMonkeys building one of their own now. CodeMonkeys sort of grabbing onto all of this lead beneath the map, maybe going to benefit them a bit on their gold production.
We
See,
see
they
quite
have-
a few stages there.
Yeah, they have quite a few more sages than Wallolo. Wallolo may be looking to grab a few more things from their economy to boost their gold production.
Well, it does seem a bit short of material though. CodeMonkeys does have quite a large material advantage here.
Yeah, and that
Yes, CodeMonkeys
Beat up
taking
that
over.
Archon. And so CodeMonkeys takes out the first game here. Back onto the Octopus.
And
CodeMonkeys grabbing onto that middle pile of lead. And no longer Wallolo here to take the lead for themselves.
interesting how some teams may choose to position their labs further away, whereas Wallolo is like moving their labs as they go.
So now we're one game each.
Yeah, and Wallolo not making it easy. here.
Finally see the fourth map in this set, which starts with Cobra.
I think we saw deer.
Deer, yes.
Well, we have seen deer.
I believe we
Maybe
haven't seen
maybe
the
not
fifth.
the first time we're seeing the fourth map.
We have
But
not
the
seen the
fifth
fifth
map.
map.
Maps. All right, let's see this one. Let's
So
see.
this looking like a close set. Winner will take the lead in the set, but let's see.
Yes.
CodeMonkeys moving their Archon to a safer place, but that's not a safe place. Wallolo has already struck the top and Archon just running into that big wave of sages.
Still 3 Archons apiece.
But now CodeMonkeys losing one of their Archons and about to lose their last Archon here. Wallolo striking and taking the third game in this set.
So now it's deer.
And now on
Wallolo
to
quickly
deer.
putting up that lab. Both
Yeah,
teams
CodeMonkeys
actually.
lab's a bit better defended, I believe. A little harder to get there.
Yeah, and a little further from the action.
Yeah, and with this early push of sages grabbing onto all that lead and really accelerating their game, and that lab is just completely exposed.
And we
And-
will see this fifth
Whoa.
map.
We are seeing a very close match for this second finalist spot here. CodeMonkeys tying it up 2-2.
Okay,
Winner
so
of this
it's like
match.
we're going to be going on to a decider on a new map. So, and so whoever takes this next game will be advancing to the finals, and the other team will definitely be having another shot through the other bracket. But this
Yeah.
is going ahead to a decider. Our decider match is
On a
going to
new
be
map.
island hopping.
I made this map, so I'm very excited to see how it goes.
We see a lot of lead on this map.
There's a lot of lead here, but also a lot of islands. So it'd be interesting to see if we're able to make some sense out of these islands. So here we go, island hopping for a place in the finals.
And a lot of miners we see picking up that lead. This will
Wallolo
be a great
grabbing
map
one.
for farming.
Yeah, Wallolo first one to the lead. But CodeMonkeys with more sages here. And lots of lead being left behind from the resource reclaim, and Wallolo grabbing all of it up. CodeMonkeys trying to hold off with a force of sages here. Maybe they can hold off on the lower rubble.
Wallolo with more control of the map, that's gonna be essential.
Yeah, but also Sage is not a unit greatly affected by the rubble. Now rushing down that Archon, and Wallolo taking it back 3-2 and winning the set and securing their finalist spot. Congratulations.
Yes, so congratulations to Wallolo for advancing to the finals. And CodeMonkeys will see you again in the losers bracket for another shot at advancing. Next up, we have Producing Perfection versus Compilers.
And immediately we see Producing Perfection placing down a lab while Compilers not opting for a Sage strategy here. Sage is now produced.
Producing Perfection had a very early game Sage rush, if I remember from before.
Compilers setting down a lab of their own now, but Not enough lead to fuel this lab.
Producing Perfection taking the first game with some nice fury.
So Producing Perfection looking to win 2 more times. Compellers on the back foot need to take 3 matches, but anything can happen on this next match, Octopus game. Compellers actually setting down a lab very quickly, actually setting down 2 now, maybe going to get an early Sage Rush here. Able to produce more gold than Producing Perfection. Now you just see Sages swarming out of that Archon. A little fight going on the bottom right here. Where did the other blue Archon go? Oh, blue Archon positioned really far up, and that red Archon is vulnerable. Those laboratories and Archons just swept in by Producing Perfection and destroyed while their forces are at the bottom. And now that's 1 Archon down, and now the other Archon destroyed as well.
So now we have 2-0 to Producing Perfection. So let's see if they can pull this through in this 3rd game.
And immediately we see both Archons discovered. Compeller putting their Archon in portable, but deciding to put it back into stationary mode. Wonder if maybe there's a glitch with the pathfinding there. But Producing Perfection, tons of labs already set down, and now looking to chip away at this Archon. 1 Archon down, now looking to grab onto that bottom Archon as well. Impalers just completely rushed by this wave of Sages, and now 1 Archon remaining, looking to just hold off, but not able to, and Producing Perfection, taking this at 3-0.
So congratulations to Producing Perfection for advancing to the finals. And Compilers will be seeing you again quite soon in the next bracket. Next up, we have the Hackers and the Musketeers.
Both teams, very strong teams, I believe, from past tournaments. And Hackers already setting down a laboratory, but 5 Musketeers not missing a beat, puts down their own, but Sages are already down. And now we get to see a little bit of Sage fight going on in the middle. Hackers have Sages on high rubble here, though, so they're going to be fighting a losing battle here.
Yeah, and Musketeers choosing to try to go around, but not finding their way.
Hackers sort of funneling their Sages into that choke and getting wiped out by the Sages waiting on the other side. Now 5 Musketeers looking to the same, but fought back in the exact same way. So now we're at an impasse here at the middle. Maybe that 1 Sage hiding below is going to be able to turn the tide, but no, it looks like it's taken out. And now we get a very close Sage fight here in the middle.
Now we'll see if either team is able to get across that.
5 Musketeers coming out on top with their miners, able to snatch up all of this golden lead that's left behind, and
5
really
Musketeers
boosting.
getting some Sages around. This might be what they need.
And taking out the Archon with a Fury. Congratulations to 5 Musketeers for taking the first game. Now moving on to the second. So very close first game. Let's see what happens on maybe a bit of a larger map here. We see portable mode on the Hackers moving their Archon really far up there and now running it back after setting down a laboratory. And a very strong defense and offense, both on both sides of the map, trying to move the Sages
Hackers
down.
losing their first Archon there.
Yeah,
Still.
trying to move that Sage down to defend it, but just too late.
Still has quite a bit of Sages. They could come back, honestly.
And we see a rotation of forces here, new fresh Sages with more health coming in, but just getting overwhelmed by sheer numbers. 5 Musketeers with a big wave of Sages. Hackers still has Sages of their own, and those action cooldowns are up. Maybe can fight back, but just taken out by this powerful force of Sages. And now 5 Musketeers looking to close out the set on this third map.
Hackers moving their Archon closer to the blue Archon, taking out that one in the middle.
And that Archon just barely surviving, but it's alive. It's moving up though. And hopefully we're not going to see an Archon.
Is it going to create a builder to heal itself? Or maybe it won't even be necessary. It seems like they have quite some map control here.
They're taking out that bottom Archon, not making it easy for 5 Musketeers, going to strike back in the third map, and now swarming that last Archon.
It looks like we're going
Hackers takes their
into
first.
Yes, so looks like we're going into the fourth.
They're showing that it's not so easy, and now going on to a very med devoid map here. Wonder to see how the two Sage teams will fare.
I wonder if the hackers can bring this back from 2-0 down. Can they bring it all the way back?
Oh, and hackers
are
Archon quickly being discovered. We'll see if Musketeers can capitalize on that.
But the first ones to set down the laboratory. Lots of these Sages on a very high rubble, though.
Yeah, and it's all the way going into the rubble. This is not a problem.
Still able to hold off that attack though, and launch their own
We've got a state
counterattack.
advantage, 11 Sages to 6.
Whoa, what are the Sages doing? They're all
They're all
hiding
huddled
away.
in the corner here, but that's high rubble. If they attack right now, they're not going to be able to react quickly enough. But now we see a very close Sage fight here. 5 Musketeers escaping their sages on a slimmer of health, and those Sages will be healed up and replenished for the next fight. And now rushing in with a big force of Sages and taking out the Archon. 5 Musketeers securing their spot in the finalists. And now...
But wow, a final score of 3-2.
Yeah, very close game.
A very close one, but we'll definitely be seeing the hackers again in the next bracket. They'll have another shot at taking the finals spot.
Yeah, hackers, very close game with one more chance here. Now we see Hardcoders versus JDK, more like IDK. Maybe a shot at our non-Java 13 systems. One lab already set down, but that lab now in portable mode to escape the soldiers. Not going to be able to produce gold wallets in that format.
Quite a few Sages from Hardcoders. That's going to be a hard thing to defend.
Yeah, Hardcoders pushing in this very massive force of Sages and using Fury to chip down that Archon.
Hardcoders quickly finding that lead deposit.
Voting an Archon on a bit of high rubble, laboratory, not Archon. But now eliminating the top left Archon there and looking to take out this other one. JDK not able to push off this big rush of Sages. And generally, we've seen some pretty close matches on this next one. Maybe we'll see something similar. Hardcoders moving their Archon back and surrounding that other Archon. Now it's moved up really far up. And eliminating another Archon in the bottom as well as the one in the top. JDK with one Archon left now. I don't know why that laboratory is moving up offensively as well. Hardcoders taking the set 3-0. Congratulations on your spot to the finalists.
Yep, and JDK, more like IDK, will be seeing you again very soon in the next bracket. But congratulations to Hardcoders for being a finalist. Next up, we have the Dreams of the Lonely Laboratories and the Blue Dragon.
Lots of builders from Blue Dragon. I wonder if maybe that's going to end up detrimenting their early game with such a fast-paced map. But it seems like it's actually that soldier is getting a lot of hits in, but
yeah, Blue Dragon able to put down laboratories. The tide may turn now.
Don't know why they're moving their laboratory so far up. That laboratory is just going to die, leaving their laboratory on a suicide mission, but a new one to replace it
Because
now.
they think might just be because it thinks it's too near the other units. So it's trying to
Maybe they're using it for scouting. Laboratories do have very high vision range, so what makes sense?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That would be quite the strategy.
I guess we'll see in the next few matches if that is indeed what they're doing with that laboratory movement, or if they're just sort of trying to put it in a good place.
Laboratories could be a pretty good scout, but to be fair, quite an expensive one, but they could be a good one.
one Archon down already, being chased down by these soldiers. Actually manages to escape on barely any health. Wonder if they're gonna summon up a builder to heal it up. And it's down. Blue Dragon taking the next game by rushing in with Sages.
Only Laboratory is not able to get those laboratories built and working.
And Blue Dragon going to lose an Archon right off the start. Once again, teams not moving their Archon on this map, really losing out very quickly. Lonely Laboratory is now targeting the top Archon, not making it easy for Blue Dragon to take this set. And with such big map control on a map like this, their lead control is very insane. And one more Archon remaining. Sages sort of waiting on the edges of the battle while soldiers taking the front line. Lonely Laboratories taking a game back. And Lonely Laboratories with a dancing builder there. The builder is immediately dead, but it served its purpose. Oh, sorry, that's Blue Dragon. But Lonely Laboratories actually just rushing down the Archon.
Wow, we're going to a 5th.
Could this be a reverse sweep? Winner of this game will take it all. And immediately we see a laboratory placed down by Blue Dragon, looking to use Sages to defend here.
Lonely Laboratory attempting with that soldier rush, but it's going to be hard on a map with this much lead.
But Blue Dragon has no defenses. They've built a few Sages, and these Sages are on lower rubble, able to push back.
Oh,
And now we see a fight going on here.
a lot of miners spawned there from Lonely Laboratories. They
A
can
very
hold off,
close
that'll be
fight,
good.
soldiers versus Sages. And it looks like the Sages are pushing forwards with their own force of soldiers. Blue Dragon gaining a lead farm from the initial attack from Lonely Laboratories, and now looking to take this Archon, making sure that Lonely Laboratories does not reverse sweep them and securing their spot in the finalists. Congratulations to Blue Dragon.
It's
Very
definitely
close game.
very valiant fight from the Lonely Laboratories. So we're very excited to see how they can go again in the next bracket. Next up, we have Smite versus Baby Ducks.
Excited to see what Baby Ducks does on Snowman.
Yeah, Snowman, 4 Archons should benefit Baby Duck strategy quite a bit, unless they sack all but the middle Archon, in which they will be a little stranded.
That would be a little unfortunate.
That
But
is what happened. I think that laboratory couldn't get built because a soldier came along and started hitting it while it's being produced.
finally able to get built though.
But that's
Definitely
a
took a
very
while.
difficult place to travel through. You see, even though they have this overwhelming numbers advantage, traveling through a choke, very difficult to do so. But now with a
The
big
Sage
blind-
army seems like it's enough finally.
Yeah, and that's an upgraded laboratory as well, I believe. Now taking out the Archon, that builder just sort of lost in nowhere. Smite taking the first game.
We
Where did
see
the red
Baby
Archon
Ducks
go?
sacrificing that top
Oh, they
Archon.
sacrificed. I looked over. I was like, wait, I thought there was an Archon there. Baby Ducks. Very quick early game rush, but Smite able to defend, and now Baby Ducks losing their early lead, and with only one Archon left, very quickly taken out. Maybe on Snowman, Baby Ducks are able to fight back here with the 4 Archons. Actually, it looks like they're not sacrificing any Archons. Oh,
Oh,
never
the-
mind. I was looking at the red
Oh,
color.
and as you called, only the middle
Oh,
one did get
only the
sacrificed.
middle
That's
Archon
gonna be
left
a very
behind.
tough thing to defend from. But they took out 2.
Oh, and now they're looking to collapse on the other 2. Looks like sacrificing 3 Archons. Who would have knew? Very strong early game start. But on the
Wow.
next map, Deer, there's only 1 Archon.
What a game.
Yeah, Baby Ducks showing that their strategy works really well on certain maps. But I wonder how they're going to fare here. This is a pretty similar map to Cobra. And on Cobra, Smite able to take the lead, but now Baby Ducks showing that they're grabbing the center of the map here, and that builder I think is going to put on a laboratory in the corner. I'm not really
Yeah.
sure.
Baby Ducks showing that their only strategy isn't sacking Archons, but will it be enough? This Sage attack looks very
Sage is
strong.
just waiting on the other side to use Fury. They have a builder up there, but I don't recall it ever setting down a laboratory. I wonder if they maybe just never got enough lead or if that builder bugged out. But
Yeah, not sure what's up there, but and this Sage
No.
army kind of just taunting
the
Baby
Sage
Ducks.
army, but a single soldier is sufficient.
I'm excited to see Baby Ducks again in the bracket, but congrats to Smite.
Yes, maybe with maps that have more Archons, their strategy really taking a lead there. But now Crab versus Large L League, LLL, I suppose. And Crab opting to grab a laboratory immediately, while Large L League doing so, but a little later.
And Large L League opting to move that Archon up. That's an interesting strategy.
Yeah, that Archon certainly on a low rebel area, but also not a very defended area.
Yeah, much closer to vision radius of some of those attacking units. Might be a hard spot to defend from.
Yeah, now Crab doesn't really need to force their way through that choke since the Archon is so exposed.
Exactly. But that Sage army is just too good.
Yeah, and Crab, first one to set down the lab and first one to take the Archon.
Crab with quite a few Sages there.
Yeah, Crab forcing their way into this top side while sort of handing this bottom area to Large L League. Maybe Large L League able to make something out of that, but they have no more labs.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be able to capitalize on how much ground they had.
So Large L League losing the second game, but maybe able to strike back in the third here. We have seen some very close matches on Snowman. And setting down two labs in the middle of the map here, then that Archon immediately runs back to its friends, but those two labs are sort of in the middle of nowhere. Looks like it won't matter. Those two labs served their purpose, and now a big army of Sages coming in. Large L League has labs of their own, but not able to defend against this wave of Sages. And Crab looks like they're going to take it 3-0 unless somehow Large L League can defend against this wave of Sages, but it looks like now the Sages are forcing their way in and Crab taking the set 3-0. So congratulations to Crab for securing their place in the finalists.
Yes, and congratulations also to Large L League for putting up a good fight so far. I'm going to see them again in the next bracket. But speaking of the next bracket, that ends round 3 of the winners bracket. So we've now got all 8 of our finalists from the winners bracket. So we're now going to be moving back through to the losers bracket. We're going to have so we're going to be playing now losers round 4, and you need to qualify by making it through to losers round 6. So that's, you need to win in round 5 and make it into round 6 to qualify. And we're going to be starting from round 4 of the losers bracket coming up next. So first up, we have DontAtMe versus Ruby Grapefruit.
And starting on Deer this time. So hopefully we get to see some new maps. Hopefully we get a game 5 in one of these sets. And looks like both teams sort of exploring the map to begin. Red Archon already discovered, but a lab placed down, the damage is done, and now that Sage able to chase out the harassing soldiers. Ruby Grapefruit not able to take the Archon quickly enough. The Archon left about half health, I believe. And now DontAtMe pushing in with their own wave of Sages, snatching away the first game.
Back to island hopping. We've seen Ruby Grapefruit is a very quick player, but seems they weren't able to hold off when their first attack got pushed back by DontAtMe. Again, with very many stages very early in the game. Let's see if Ruby Grapefruit can lead a good attack this time.
Yeah, you see a big force of red sages here, but they're all on high rubble here. These blue sages able to hold off even though they have a fewer numbers.
Ruby Grapefruit also building up quite the farm there. That could be a good way for them to secure the end game.
Yeah, this map a really good place to farm considering it's not so easy to approach the opponent. Wow, okay, so DontAtMe pushing up their Archon a little too far and just getting wiped out by a Fury. So Ruby Grapefruit striking back, making it 1-1. We are guaranteed a game 4. Let's see if
Already, I think the next map is going to be a new one. I think. I don't think
Yes.
see what comes next
Hopefully.
after island hopping.
I was ambushed by Definitely
Okay.
Not League in the international calls towards the end.
Looks like a very rugged map. Let's see how we go on this one.
See, there's quite a bit of lead on this map, but also quite a bit of terrain.
Yeah, a lot of terrain. It'll be interesting.
A very small map though, and now we see each side setting down a lab. But Ruby Grapefruit, the first one to get to the lead and the first one to get to their sages. Maybe
Yes,
if
sages.
DontAtMe can defend, they get their own little farm here from all the dead troops. But Ruby Grapefruit employing their farming strategy once again, I believe, and those lead stacks are going to benefit them greatly in the long run.
Ruby Grapefruit trying to come down and attack, but
You can see their little troops are interweaving in these lower rubble areas, walking through these paths and sniping away one of the Archons of DontAtMe. And now on desert, I can't tell, do those little cacti have hats or what are those?
yeah, they were hats on the map I created. I don't know. I was just adding rubble.
I do like the hats. We see 3 labs set down on the bottom right. Those labs not going to be found anytime soon. I don't quite see where the Archon is. Archon is in the middle. 2 Archons from DontAtMe already eliminated. That last Archon too far up, and DontAtMe moving up their Archons too far and giving Ruby Grapefruit the 4th match. And Ruby
I do have
Grapefruit.
to say that the hats on those Archon, on those cacti, I think those cacti have some pretty good style. But yes, Ruby Grapefruit takes this 3-1. That was actually the final score, and that was 3-2.
Yeah, so if DontAtMe managed to snatch away another match, they actually would have won there. But now on to CodeMonkeys versus Binary Ballistics. Now we see CodeMonkeys rushing in with a very big force of sages and ending the game before round 400. Very swift victory from CodeMonkeys. Now on to island hopping.
Seen some interesting strategies on island hopping. Definitely a good place to defend. So if Binary Ballistics can hold this off, they could have a good shot, but it's a lot.
Yeah, and all of those lead left behind by the soldiers taken up by CodeMonkeys, and now we get a 0. We get 2-0 from CodeMonkeys, looking to take the set with the 3rd game. Now, once again, not a large map. Maybe Binary Ballistics looking to rush in with some soldiers, but those soldiers getting lost in the maze. On the other hand, CodeMonkeys producing their own sages to defend, and those sages a very big impact on a small map. And now CodeMonkeys rushing down and taking the Archon, taking the set 3-0. CodeMonkeys winning the set. Now we have Compilers versus Unrecognized Team Name.
Both teams placing down labs early. This might be a sage battle.
Yeah, it looks like we have sages on both sides here, but Compilers taking over the map and controlling all of these lead piles. Unrecognized team name able to defend 4 now, but the lead difference is only increasing.
Unrecognized team name really keeping to that little corner. Struggling
Yeah, and able to defend
move
it
out.
well too. But eventually whittled down by all the sages, and first game goes to Compilers. And now on island hopping, we see compilers rushing in with a wave of sages, but being defended. Ironically, sages probably the least affected unit by the rubble due to their long action cooldown by default. And now unrecognized team name pushing back, but not able to. Compilers now sending in another wave of sages, but these sages on lower rubble able to defend once again.
And there's a lot of gold there for unrecognized team name to pick up.
Yeah, now we see a gold swing in unrecognized team names. Actually, not quite. They're not able to grab all the gold. I think one of them, was that an abyss from the map or is that an abyss from the sages? I believe it's an abyss from the map. Now we have a vortex. Islands are rotating. And now we see a big wave of sages going up. There's
Oh,
some
this will be an
watchtowers.
interesting tiebreak.
Compiler setting down some watchtowers and healing the watchtowers with builders, and unrecognized team name winning off of their greater amount of gold, 8-3, a very close game.
And many more stages.
Yes. And now on to Rugged. We see both teams setting down their sages. Once again, lots of good places to.
Wow,
What just happened?
where
What just
did that
happened there?
Archon move to?
Did
Unrecognized team name Archon coming down all the way to.
wait, what killed that blue Archon? I
Compiler's
didn't
area.
see where it was. It's so
I think
fast.
it's in that gold area, right in the bottom left.
Oh, how did it get there?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
Maybe a bug from the pathfinding of compilers, or
Yeah.
sorry, unrecognized teammates just sort of running in their Archon. But maybe we'll hit a game 5 here if they're able to strike back. We see a very big fight going on the large cactus. That large cactus looks quite spiny with all of the lead sticking out of it. And now unrecognized team name pushing forwards. Maybe they're able to tie this up to a 2-2 and take game 5 if they can locate that last Archon. I believe the Archon's still not located, and if compilers can make a comeback here because of the time they've been given, but no, unrecognized team rushing in and eliminating that Archon, tying it up 2-2. Now a new map on Flowers. Winner on this new map will take the set. Those Archons in the middle, very far up. If they do not move those Archons, it will be very quickly eliminated. And we already see that coming in. Unrecognized team losing their first Archon and very swiftly losing their second. Compilers taking the set 3-2. Now we have the, I'm not going to try pronouncing that. Hackers versus A214. Hebetudinius, I guess. I'm not so sure. Wow, a very early soldier rush from A214. Not able to quite breach the defenses, but
And now hackers with their sages.
yeah, and those sages just hitting the Archon and just taking it out. Hackers taking the match 1-0.
Back to island hopping.
And here A214 trying to flank from the side, but getting pushed back by the huge wave of sages. This map, lots of lead and really benefiting the laboratory rush here. A214 not able to build up an offense strong enough to pierce through these sages, and hackers taking the second game. And now this third match, A214 really close up, able to hit the Archon over the wall, but those sages able to fight back over the wall as well. And now a big blanket of sages rushing in, navigating this terrain. You see the sages trying to avoid the high rubble, and hackers taking the set 3-0. Congratulations to the hackers for winning. Now we have a JDK more like IDK versus Damacles. Looks like Damacles sort of trying to grab control of the map here, taking control of all these center lead deposits, really going to benefit the economy. You can see the bottom left lead graph ballooning in their favor, but red team JDK more like IDK taking control. A watchtower placed down in the
And that
front
watchtower
yard
is doing a lot of
JDK.
damage.
And those watchtowers, you know, maybe I'm biased, but I'm just going to say it did a lot of damage to everything walking in. But now a big lead pile built up. Damacles grabbing control of it, and those watchtowers just camping the other side of the wall. The sage is not able to do anything. 6
Damacles
watchtowers
just
lined up in
really-
the front. And now this is just BM.
Taking control of the map. Wow. Even with
Yeah.
JDK having sages, they just trap them in that corner.
Damacles with some like amazing soldier micro. You see those low house soldiers just all hiding behind, waiting to be healed, while the front line constructed of pure builders and watchtowers. The builders trying to repair the watchtowers. And maybe we'll see something similar with island hopping. This map really good for defense. But no, it looks like JDK with their early stage rush, able to strike back and tie it up 1-1, eliminate the Archon very quickly. Maybe we'll see something similar. This is a very small map after all.
And Damocles is able to get that watchtower up, but quickly falls. They might not be able to withstand this rush.
Indeed, and JDK taking the next game at 2-1 with their stage rush.
See if Damocles can do better on a bigger map. They seem to have more of a late game strategy.
Damocles really moving that Archon straight into enemy territory. That Archon isolated and alone. Where are the other two Archons? Oh, actually grouping together.
That's an
Damocles sort of
interesting place
surrounding
to put them.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's really good for it, but it seems like it's working really well. Able to eliminate one Archon, about to eliminate the second, two Archons, and now hitting the third. And Damocles tying it up 2-2. Not a reverse sweep, but making it really tight on this fourth game. And now onto Flower. Pretty small map, and we've seen games end very quickly on this map, I believe. So we'll see how this turns out. Immediately, Damocles stepping their Archon forward is a bad idea. Immediately gets struck down by soldiers, and JDK just moving in and taking out the second Archon, taking the set 3-2. And now we have the Lonely Laboratories in their dreams versus the Random Forest.
A lot of soldier battling in the center right now.
Yeah, it looks like Lonely
Oh, wow.
Laboratories with a better soldier rush at the start, able to eliminate the Archon of Random Forest. Now onto island hopping.
This map definitely a lot more defensive. Let's see if Lonely Laboratories suffers for making that first soldier rush.
Yeah, we see
Seems
Lonely
like it's working for
Laboratories
them, though.
pushing in, but these soldiers, lower rubble, able to hold off for now, but they're losing out on lots of lead in the meanwhile. No lead income, and Lonely Laboratories grabbing the second one with 40 soldiers. And now onto this third map, also a pretty small map. So I wonder how Lonely Laboratories might be able to push forward. Actually, they are already striking at the heart
Wow,
of
in
Random Forest.
200 rounds.
3 swift matches. Actually, you see that was 5-0. So even on the larger maps somehow, Lonely Laboratories taking the set 3-0. And now on to Baby Ducks versus Philip. Baby Ducks, I believe all three first maps have one Archon each. So I wonder how their Archon sacrifice strategy will hold on.
Yeah. Baby Ducks did show that they were able to do something without those, but definitely suffers. And yeah, Baby Ducks is able to take it quickly.
Yeah, Baby Ducks showing that even with one Archon, they have a very strong strategy and are able to strike back here. So taking the first set, or taking the first game.
Onto a more defensive map. Let's see what Baby Duck's strategy holds in terms of defense.
Yeah,
Philip with a lot
placing
of
down
stages.
Yeah, putting down some laboratories at the start, but Baby Ducks with their own laboratory. With one laboratory in the very far corner, that's going to be a very efficient laboratory. And now going to grab up all this lead, and it seems as if the team really able to hold back and grab this lead, takes the advantage here, and with a Fury, strikes out the Archon of Philip. Now another map with only one Archon, but Baby Ducks proving that they can really come out on top on these maps too. And wow, an immediate rush, taking the set 3-0. Baby Ducks winning the set.
It appears that I've Oh, okay. My screen share did not just crash. That's good. I just had a pop-up telling me that I should update my Java version, which is quite fitting considering our Java version. But yes, cool. We now have the next match.
Now we have Large Owl League versus Nerds. Some interesting soldier fight going on at the start, but now that sages are in, few soldiers not able to defend, and the sages sort of hiding in the corner. Large Owl League taking the first match. Now, with a very strong push of soldiers, Nerds looking to breach the defense, but Large Owl League with sages sort of surrounding them, not
That's
able
a
to
lot
pierce
of
them.
labs.
And yeah, lots of labs, lots of lead, and going to take out the Archon of Nerds. Large Owl League taking the match 2-0, looking to end the set with this third game. Large Owl League actually being attacked from the top here, but Nerds not able to strike down the Archon quickly enough, and now Large Owl League taking the set 3-0 with their Sage Rush strategy. Congratulations to them.
And so now we have reached the next round, round 5 of the losers bracket, which means that all the teams who win in this round will be advancing to, well, we would say round 6 of the losers bracket, but in actuality, we'll be advancing to the final tournament. So 4 more finalists to come out of the next 4 matches. So first up, we have CodeMonkeys versus Ruby Grapefruit. And one of these teams will be our next finalist.
And starting on on Desert, I nearly called this map Cactus.
See, it's desert because it doesn't have a lot of lead.
I like that. I wonder if because of that, farming strategies will really be benefited here. The lab in the Archon discovered by Ruby Grapefruit. And also moving their Archons in a bundle here, I think really benefiting them on this big map where they can defend easily, but losing a lot of map control for that. And now these lead deposits around being taken over by CodeMonkeys. And CodeMonkeys with their force of sages now looking to attack, but Ruby Grapefruit with their own sages circling around to hit the Archon.
Able to find that Archon.
An interesting strategy, just circling around those sages and really helping them out, able to take out an Archon, now starting to farm in the top right. Big
And
lead
those
lead,
sages are
and
on the move.
you see those sages collapsing in towards the Archon as soon as it's discovered. Can CodeMonkeys defend here? They are on lower rubble. But the economy gap only gets bigger and bigger. Ruby Grapefruit with their farming
surrounding
strategy.
them.
Yeah, and these sages don't stop. Sage after sage after sage being produced. There are now 60 sages on the battlefield from Ruby Grapefruit. CodeMonkeys trying to hold off with a third of the sages, able to do so temporarily because of this lower rubble, but ultimately the sheer number here from the farming strategy, able to wipe out the
Grapefruit's farm just really coming in clutch.
Yeah, and Desert, a big map with very little lead, really benefiting the farm strategy here. But Flowers, a bit of a smaller map. And that sage wandering into 2 Archons and being annihilated by 4 more sages. But CodeMonkeys now looking to defend here. Able to hold back this wave of sages and now sort of pushing forwards themselves. And CodeMonkeys accompanying their sages with miners, a very smart idea, as the miners can sort of just pick up on the lead from the dead sages and rebuild them. And now CodeMonkeys striking back, setting the match to 1-1 on a new map here, Chalice.
Wow.
And it's a very small map.
A
So
lot of that lead taken away.
yeah, immediately snatching up the lead. Not so much lead left on this map. Maybe Ruby Grapefruit able to hold. Actually, CodeMonkeys producing quite a few sages as a result, and Ruby Grapefruit, no lead left. They're just being struck down by these sages. So Ruby Grapefruit losing control of the lead at the start and really losing out as a result.
Back onto vault.
And we see the return of Vault. Both teams grabbing the lead in both vaults here, the open one and the closed one. And now CodeMonkeys pushing their Archons down, really going to aid them in a fight. But at the same time, they're fighting on Ruby Grapefruit's home ground here. Those Archons able to heal. But I think Ruby Grapefruit, oh no, commits suicide with Fury. CodeMonkeys rushes an Archon up, and Ruby Grapefruit Sages sees the blue Archon and says, well, we can use Fury to kill that, and annihilates both of their Archons because of that. Unfortunately, not paying attention to their own Archon's health bars in the process. Unfortunate, but CodeMonkeys now taking the set 3-1 as a result. Congratulations to CodeMonkeys for qualifying.
Now we have the hackers versus compilers.
Yeah, two. Oh, okay, that's the previous set. All right, so on to desert. And we see both teams sort of exploring the map here, realizing there's not so much lead to go around, and the majority of the lead is going to come from fighting. And hackers moving their Archon up quite offensively.
Yeah, creating that stand within the cactus.
Yeah, with a big wave of sages here, but there's not so much lead left. There's a few pals in the middle of the cactus, and besides that, just a few pals scattered around.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to develop that sage strategy without much lead to go off of.
Yeah, you see in the past, we usually get like 40, 50 sages. Here, we only have about 10 from both sides just because there's so little lead, but lots of gold on the floor as a result of the fighting. Maybe a miner can snatch all of that up. Would really turn the tide of battle here, but no miners from either side. Well, 2 miners from compilers, but they're sort of in Narnia at the moment. So not going to be able to grab that gold, but now they're heading over. And compilers taking control of this cactus and all of the resources left behind. Those Archons on very low health, 1 Archon down, 2 more.
And compilers mining over there in their territory, helping them out with the lead.
Oh, and compilers, yeah, doing a farming strategy. So that's really going to help them out on this map. We'll see how it turns out on the other 2. Also building a watchtower in the middle of that cactus and taking out the Archon. Compilers striking first and taking the first game.
Now on to flowers with those 2 close Archons. They might be within range.
Yeah, those 2 Archons face to face, able to see each other from the very beginning, say hello to each other. 1 Archon down, compilers losing an Archon, and hackers really defending their Archon well with this big burst of sages. That Archon is really far up though. Luckily, none of their sages using Fury on their own Archon yet. And maybe that's why their sages actually just hit the enemy Archon now that I think about it.
Yeah. And hackers tying this up at 1-1 as we go to Chalice.
A very small map with lots of lead. So we'll see. It seems as if whoever takes control first here is really going to dominate. Hackers, the first one to strike with a loss of sages, but a very clean defense from compilers from lower rubble areas.
And that gold is going to be good on this map.
Yeah, and once again, we see hackers unable to breach this defense, and now compilers looking to break through and pick up all this gold. And hackers really out of lead here. So if this next attack doesn't work,
compilers farming, helping them out.
Yeah, so hackers not able to end the game fast enough, and now compilers just taking over. You see hackers producing no miners.
There are some huge lead deposits there, though, if they can just...
So hackers not able to breach through at the start, and then afterwards just losing in pure economy. Compilers taking this 3rd game, looking to end the game 3-1. Hackers looking to grab up all this lead in the vault. And you see both the miners seeing the other one decides to go Hail Mary and just take all of it. Now hackers pushing
hackers moving their Archons forward. We'll see
if this works out for them. At the enemy Archons. Luckily not using Fury and tying it 2-2. this fifth game will be the deciding game, I believe, on a new map, hopefully. And we'll see how the farming strategy fares against the early Sage Rush. Once again, we go back to despair, it seems. So, big map, possibly going to benefit the farming strategy, but we'll see. Maybe if hackers, first one to move their Archons up, will really benefit if these large piles of rebels just slam themselves onto Compiler's Archons. So,
And yes, we
maybe,
see hackers have moved those Archons.
yeah, hackers moving these Sages and Archons up. And now that rubble on top of Compiler's not planning ahead. And their Archons are completely trapped. Now these Sages rushing in and going to eliminate the Archons. Compilers, unfortunately, not looking at the anomaly schedule closely enough and not realizing they're about to lose to a big pile of rubble. Hackers taking the set 3-2 and qualifying as finalists. Very close set.
And definitely a very valiant defense from the compilers.
Yes.
Now we have the Lonely Laboratories and JDK versus more like IDK.
Starting off on desert again.
And I don't
Losing.
remember if either of these teams do farming, but historically we've seen farms do extremely well on this map. It looks as if neither team's doing it, and actually JDK losing an Archon already.
Yeah. Lonely Laboratories bringing that Archon up. But that
Now
other
a little
Archon
short of
seems to
soldier.
be a little defenseless.
Yeah, and now they need to hold on to this last Archon or it's going to be over this game, but only producing miners, no soldiers in sight. That one Sage being led away by a miner, ironically, probably not intentional from the Lonely Laboratories, but if it is, that's genius. Leading the Sage away was a miner. And now Lonely Laboratories taking the first game. And now on to Flowers.
And Lonely Laboratories putting down their first laboratory.
And one Archon about to be taken out here, unless it's able to escape, and hopefully none of those use Fury.
Oh, no, it is not able to escape in the
But
end.
they strike back and take an Archon for themselves, and now taking the other
That's
Archon,
Sage.
Lonely Laboratories, taking the next game. And now on to Chalice. Lonely Laboratories, a team that uses, I would assume, map size to decide on maybe their soldier strategy, perhaps, or maybe they just spawn lots of soldiers at the start, but now looking to
Getting
push
those
in.
Sages out, but their Archon looks a little hard to defend. Oh, and they've
Sages are out and soldiers are gone. So JDK not going to make it an easy victory for Lonely Laboratories and striking back, putting it to 2-1. Now we'll see how they do on these original maps of Vault and Despair. Perhaps some able to react better than others. JDK grabbing all that lead up, not letting Lonely Laboratories have a piece of the pie, but now Lonely Laboratories are hitting their Archons during this process.
Lonely Laboratories losing an Archon though, or nope, able to fight it off. Nope.
But now JDK rushing in with a big crowd of soldiers, tying it 2-2. Once again, we get another game. Can JDK bring about the reverse sweep in this fifth game, or will Lonely Laboratories secure their spot? Let's see on Despair.
This is definitely a bigger map. May favor Lonely Laboratories Sage strategy.
Yeah,
Let's see what
definitely a bigger map.
JDK can do.
And the Lonely Laboratories has explored that big pile of rubble on the left, so they know what's about to happen when that vortex hits. And you see they're able to move their laboratories out of the way, their laboratories and their Archons out of the way, whether intentional or not. And now they're really pushing in. JDK not able to spot out this vortex coming for them. And on very high rubble.
Lonely Laboratories just able to circle them and take out that Archon.
Yep, Lonely Laboratories securing their spot in the finalists, taking the set 3-2. Congratulations to Lonely Laboratories. And a very close set.
So this is now our last match of the night. We have Large L League versus Baby Ducks. for the final spot in the final tournament. So here we go. It's the final match.
And I believe Baby Ducks was the Archon suicide, right?
Yes, and
I don't. Oh, one
oh,
Archon
sacking
is
one,
gone now.
the bottom Archon, and the
Yeah.
top Archon, leaving the one on the cactus. Let's see how this works out for them.
Yeah, maybe if they're able to rush down these Archons from Large Owl League, they'll be able to secure an early lead here and just close out the game. About to
Large
eliminate that
Owl
Archon.
definitely found that.
Able to defend, but I believe that Large Owl League was the one who got the gold. And now they're pushing forwards with their own sages.
That's going to be tough to defend. Oh, will Baby Ducks do it?
Now, Baby Duck's last Archon remaining, no builders to heal it, wiped out by a Fury
Oh.
from a ambush. Large Owl League taking the first game. And now Baby Duck's already whittling away at one of these Archons, and that Archon's gonna go down. One Archon down. Baby Ducks did sacrifice their other Archon though, so this is something they have to do. Now they're looking to hit the second Archon, but Sage is being cashed in.
Interesting. Baby Ducks chooses to sacrifice the outer Archon, puts them at a very offensive position, but hard to defend. But worked out for them there.
Yeah, and Baby Ducks taking the set, taking the game, and now it's 1-1. And Large Owl League put their Archon in portable mode, then immediately put it back. And that's going to be a few turns lost. And you see that really affecting them. They weren't able to spawn any units. Baby Ducks just taking control of the map while that happens and just wiping our Large Owl League's Archon. Now Large Owl League looking to take this game to bring it to a 5th, but Baby Ducks already rushing down one Archon and immediately taking out the second. Baby Ducks taking 3 games in a row to secure the set. 3-1. Congratulations.
Last
to Baby
spot in the
Ducks.
finalists.
And
So
I
that
believe-
wraps up our stream for the Battlecode 2022 US qualifying tournament. So congratulations to all of our teams for playing some very amazing matches and very close matches in there as well. And a special congratulations to our 12 finalists from today, who will be joining our 4 finalists from the international qualifiers a few days ago. So we'll be joining together to form the 16 finalists coming up in the final tournament this weekend, this Saturday, which will be here on MIT campus. So to everyone else, it's been a very exciting time. It's been great to be able to meet you all online over Discord, and we've certainly had a lot of fun playing together. You're definitely still. We definitely still love for you to sort of continue playing Battlecode, and so to continue playing scrims. There's still a lot of fun to be had. So we're still definitely looking forward to all that, and definitely regardless of what you decide to do, we definitely love to see you, whether in person or online, in the final tournament on Saturday. So the final tournament will be held here in person, but we'll definitely still be streaming that over through Twitch, and we're definitely loving to see you here. But that wraps up our stream. Congratulations once again to everyone, and especially our 12 finalists. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone online.